Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Universal Dialect Show, show number 19. I'm your host, Chris Cypher73 Cabrera, and I have great guests on today. One I've known for a very long time, and one I just got introduced to right now. You have Hassan Swamburger Brooks, and you have Scarlet Monk, and combined they form the group Mugs and Pockets. How are you guys doing?
Super good.
Amazing.
All right, so let's look. I got to go through my normal thing, which is the introduction. So, Scarlet Monk. Well, first off, both of you are multi-medium Renaissance artists, which is a term that Swam just came up with an hour ago in our Instagram chat. But Scarlet Monk, you're a producer, MC, singer, dancer. You also do artwork, right?
Mhm.
What's your medium of choice? Like, are you a painter? Do you do all of it? Like draw? Like, what's your medium of choice?
Painting and oils, and that's pretty much it. I've been a more of a performance artist most of my life, and
Right?
really it's just Swam that introduced me to art less than a year ago, 6 months ago. So that's
No,
how long I've been painting. That's
no,
it.
that's dope. That's dope.
Still a
And
beast with it though.
and Swam, I mean, you have done nothing. What have you done? No, I'm only kidding.
Nothing. I talk
Swam
about
does
Let's go.
everything.
Let's go.
Swam does
Let's go.
everything. Swam's a
Right.
producer, MC. I mean, he's a singer. I mean, I saw a video of you cutting up, so you dance too a little bit, so a little
Yeah,
bit of
yeah,
a merengue in you.
yes,
Um,
sir.
Word. Word.
and also your artwork. I mean,
Yes.
for me, it's a balance for me. Like what I love more about what you do, which is your music and your artwork, because your artwork is so awesome. But you do painting, you draw. Do you do digital? Did you get into that realm?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Basically, I draw on the Cintiq, but it vectorizes everything
Right,
that I so been heavily into that. I
right.
got
So
introduced to that
go ahead.
world through Travis Blaze, actually, animator.
Okay, I was gonna ask you that. How was that transition? Because I know that you started off as a painter, drawer, and then
Yeah.
going into the digital art is not always the easiest thing. Because I suck at drawing. That's why I got into digital art because it's easier for me.
Right, right, right. Well, everything is still drawing,
Right,
but basically, like I always wanted to be as good as I was with colored pencils. So I
right,
went from colored pencils to like oil pastels and then oil pastels to actually painting, like with acrylics. And acrylics, they kind of move kind of like colored
yeah,
pencils. You know what I'm saying? It
right.
was the closest one. Then I got into more markers and spray paint and things like that. I got introduced to spray paint from DEFCON 5, man, DC 5. Shout out to Shred, shout out to Kane from Chicago. And then from there, like I started doing more and more acrylic stuff and got really, really good to the point where like my actual paintbrush felt like an actual color pencil. And then when I met Travis Blaze, man, some odd years ago, like then we got into I got into like doing stuff on the Cintiq, which is basically a monitor that you can
Right.
draw, you know. And yeah, from there, like I started doing a bunch of flyers, a bunch of posters, and then t-shirts, and now just bigger pieces that I can actually print out.
Right. So essentially, you cover everything. You're at the
Cover
point where
everything.
right now you cover everything.
Yeah.
So Scarlett, ladies first. I'm gonna start with you.
Oh.
I don't know much about you. I apologize, but you're part of a niche where you branch out in a lot of different things. So I would imagine you're hard to track down. So let's get into your origin. You laugh because it's true. When
Right.
you get involved in a lot of different things, it's hard to track somebody down because I mean you just don't know where to find them sometimes, or they'll pop up and you'll be like, oh, I didn't even know they existed. But
Um,
what's the origin story of Scarlet Monk? Can you get into in detail the origin story, please?
Oof. Um, well, I guess I'll start with the origin place, which
Yes.
would be Chicago, where I feel like I kind of, found my teachers and found my style and footing as an artist. So, I mean, that's it's a lot to ask because like as you said, I do a lot of things. So I did music there, I did dancing there. I didn't really start producing until maybe like 6 years ago or so, even though the way I sang and recorded was sort of like producing or like making compositions, but at the time it was only with my voice because that's all I had access to. So in college, I went to school for vocal performance, which was more classical, but I also had a jazz teacher. I sang with a jazz band, a big band for a little bit, a jazz combo. So I was pretty much introduced to a lot of things all at once. And once I graduated, that was kind of like, well, I don't have these musicians around me anymore. So before, if I had a class in like composition, I had friends in school next to me that I could try out these ideas on. And then once I graduated, it was just basically me. I bought a Mac, GarageBand came already on it.
Yeah.
But then I just started recording my voice in layers, pretending I was these instruments, not necessarily trying to sound like them, but just to cover either the range of them or like one's more melodic or whatever, which later, I started doing vocal looping, and a lot of people do that, just to kind of be like the one person band all with the voice, but I wasn't very good at beatboxing, like, and I had no one really next to me to teach me. And I felt like that all sounded really weak. So little by little, I was like, where is the happy medium for me? And which was starting to use Ableton Live. So I was like, okay, I can do the production for like the bass and the drums, the bigger things that I know I can't really get my voice there without putting in so many years. I'm trying to make everything as efficient as possible. So let me focus on the strength of my voice and do kind of like the vocal layers, harmonies, melodies, and the bottom half have something more powerful, I guess.
Right.
So that side of it.
But you're not originally from America, so you're originally from Poland, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
And so, why the move from Poland to Chicago, or just to the United States overall? Was that like financial reasons, or?
Well, I was 12, so it wasn't really my choice. I spent most of my life in Chicago, but I got there when I was 12. So, it was my parents' decision. And Poland, when I was born, that was still kind of like the end of communism and that sort of food rations, that sort of thing. So by the time I was 12, it was better, but it not that many opportunities really. I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere. So I guess my parents are, especially my dad, wanted kind of to branch out and see what else is out there. So and Chicago has a huge Polish community, so that's kind of where.
Okay, there we go. That's what I was getting at.
You need a sponsor, somebody to sign for you, so you don't just show up in a different country and not know anyone. So that's where we found somebody. So
yeah, I asked that because I know that Poland has a history. It's not always a positive history. People do things for certain reasons, and I know that your parents probably were like, "Yeah, I want a better life for my child." I don't know if you have siblings. If they, so
I do, and honestly, out of everyone in my family, I'm the one who like America was like, because even when I was little on a farm, I was listening to American music and watching TV shows, films from America, and to me, just like Hollywood was just like the thing. I was listening to Madonna, Material Girl, and I was like, yes, that's where I'm going. That's what I want. So when it the opportunity came up to move to America, for me was just like, yes, that's normal. That's what I imagined happening. I didn't imagine myself being on a farm for the rest of my life.
So when you got to Chicago and you started messing around and getting into music, were you aware of that? Because Chicago has a huge history with music. Well, just art in general.
No,
Swam knows that
at all. No, because when I was 12 and I got to Chicago, it was nothing like the movies. It was nothing like Hollywood. It was just like bungalows and like, what I'm saying? There was nothing. And in my school, I was, grammar school at the time. The choir was, basically just like learning do re mi. Like no one, it was just like little school plays, little this. I didn't get back into trying to do music until high school. So basically, the first whatever years, nothing musical, nothing dance related at all. It was just like almost forgetting that part of myself until I got to high school, which was Whitney Young High School. It was a magnet school and had a wonderful program. Like even our dance teacher was a former Alvin Ailey teacher.
Alvin Ailey.
Dancer. Yeah. So, and amazing choir director. We had like the whole thing where our choir did competitions with other high school choirs. So they took it seriously and actually brought a voice teacher to school in high school, which is like, you would take one-on-one lessons if you wanted to, and if you were in choir, which is not really something high schools do, and I just kind of got lucky to be in that environment where in high school, maybe like my junior year, I started being around people who were serious, and that was good. And it was also bad because these dancers, they've been dancing since they were 3. And now I'm 16 and thinking like, okay, this is too late for me. I can't develop ballet technique at 16 where everybody's just been dancing their whole lives. So it was in Poland, even though I was like 10 years old, whatever, I was like, obviously the best singer, dancer, entertainer everywhere. You get to Chicago, people have been dancing since they were 4, and you're like,
right, because you go from this to this.
You're nobody cares. Everybody's better than you because I haven't been training, I haven't been practicing, I've been barely singing along with the radio. So
wow,
I started really everything again in college.
But I think that's good though. You had a fresh start, right?
I had a fresh start, and
you went into it with a different frame of mind, because as a kid,
that was the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing, because every time I made these decisions, I knew they were mine. They weren't like my parents. They weren't, it was just like, if you put yourself through that, if you make that decision, that's like, I understand I might be a waitress for the rest of my life because I'm pursuing this and I'm doing it anyway. That's a kind of like dedication that,
that's awesome.
A lot of these kids don't have, that they were just signed up for, lessons and then they got good.
That's awesome. So Swam.
Yo.
Your turn, buddy. Let's do it. What's your origin story, man?
Oh man.
Don't spare no details either, man. Don't be cheap on me. Don't be cheap on me, man.
Okay. All right. So the origin story is,
yes, please.
I'm gonna start with my parents. My parents basically met in Chicago. However, my father being a poet, my mother being a dancer, she basically was trying to do any and everything that she could to get into like the dance world, and then also into like different plays and things like this, you know what I'm saying? Because she kind of sort of wanted to act, but her mediums were basically art, like all of the arts actually. But that's who I get my art skills from. And my poetry or my rapping skills, I get that from Pops. So I have a long history, family of poets. And so with my Pops trying to get with my mother, he ended up having to write my mother poetry in order to get it to her, because my grandfather at the time on my mother's side thought that my Pops was a thug and would not allow him to talk to her at all. So he would have to pass the poems to the uncles, right, to get them to my mom. Some made it, some didn't. So bottom line is they got together, they had me, you know what I'm saying? Now that I'm in the world, the way that I get introduced to poetry and everything, you know what I'm saying, in the arts was by way of, first of all, playing hide and go seek, right? As almost any kid would, like when you get into a new crib, like we had moved from the south side of Chicago to the suburbs now. So now we're in like Chicago Heights area, right. Glenwood area, where I would end up going to Homewood Flossmoor. But so now that I'm in here, you know what I'm saying, I'm a little older. I get into one of the closets, right? And I'm like waiting for my parents, you know what I'm saying? They don't know that I'm playing hide and go seek, right? So I'm like, my Pops will come upstairs. I'll be like, oh man, I gotta hide. And I hid it in his office closet, right? Now, when I'm in the office closet, I end up being in this closet for about 4 hours. know what I'm saying? So the reason that I'm in this closet for so long is not just because I'm hiding now, but it's because I turned on the light and I see all of these books like stacked, notebooks, just stack, right? And it goes from the floor to the ceiling. So this is probably like about like 6.5, 7 foot, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Ceiling. So, man, they're piling up, right? And I start looking at some of these books and I find out that they're all poems to my mom's.
Wow.
Like, yeah. And like me as that kid, you know what I'm saying? I start like, you know, scribbling out certain words and putting other words in it, you know what I'm saying? And like,
oh, so you were his editor, his unofficial editor?
Yeah, exactly. That is the day I became my pop's editor.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's dope, man. That's dope.
Yeah. So a little prior to that, you know, like I had also been introduced to like just writing in general from Pops because he was at One South Wacker in Chicago at AT&T. And basically like he was kind of moving his way up the ladder, you know what I mean, and ended up becoming like the MC for special events and things like that, dealing with AT&T. And so he would always sit at this couch that we had, you know, and I would sit at the end and like I would basically pretend to be him, you know. So every time he go to write, I go to write, but I wasn't writing words at that time, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah,
you were faking the funk.
Right, exactly. Paper to pen. So then when I ended up, you know, knowing words, obviously, and then like, you know, being able to create sentences and things like this, that was the time when I was in that closet, you know what I'm saying, found it, and that's, you know, became his editor. So after that, man, I started kind of introducing myself to other kids on the street that, you know, they rapped and things like this, but it was never the way that I was introduced to it, because I was introduced to prose poems, right? So so not everything rhymed, but it had like a structure, right, so that you can tell a story, you know what I mean? So every time somebody be like, yeah, I went to the store and door, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. Mine would be like a whole story, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like the guy went downstairs and as he was going downstairs, you know what I mean? Like that, like all the details.
Right, the details.
I was like, what the hell? Like, my style was totally different, right? So it finally got to a point where I started kind of, you know, being a little bit more bold and putting myself into competitions. I was freestyling with the kids on the, you know, on the corner and stuff like that.
What year is this? Can you tell me what year, like around this time?
This is probably like 89, man.
Okay,
like,
so this is before hip hop was about to explode.
Yeah, the golden era of hip hop is here.
Right.
I was still on a farm in Poland, like Jake the Chickens at this point.
But you were dreaming about.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Exactly, D.
Radio
that counts.
Oh yeah.
That counts.
So man, so we had the John Wayne jackets or the John Wayne shirts, the shirt where you button on the corner, the top
man.
corner. That was us. You know what I mean?
You don't understand. You don't understand, Scar. That's old school. That's
old the John Wayne joints, man. You know what I mean? So,
did you have the members only jacket too?
Members only jackets. I had that. You know what I'm saying? Had the joints with all the zippers and stuff. You know what I'm saying? The Michael Jackson joints.
Well, Michael Jackson, yeah, with the glove. You know.
Yeah, man. You know, I never had the glove. Never.
I always lost the glove.
yeah. There was a kid in the neighborhood that always lost the glove. Right.
Yeah, that was me.
You know what I mean? Okay, word.
Or I got them dirty. They weren't white anymore. They were like kind of like some beige or some shit.
Yep. Exactly. So then, like as this time is happening, man, Miss Pac-Man, you already know, Miss Pac-Man was like, it was that shit, basically.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay.
You had dudes playing it. You had all types of people playing. Because Pac-Man was cool, but Miss Pac-Man was the next level.
Miss Pac-Man was it, right? And so we would always go to the stores It was like the barbecue joints, man, that they would have like this one game and be Miss Pac-Man. And then everybody in that circle would be freestyling. And that was like the in kids, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like there was like the it thing, you know what I'm saying? The it factor. So if you could like survive there, then people, you know, people they give you your credit, you know, they give you your credit. So we would always go there.
It's like New York. If you can make it there, you can
right,
make it
right,
anywhere.
right, exactly.
Well, Chicago's, I mean, come on, Chicago's very much like New York.
City,
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so
Chicago's
much
very
competition.
Yeah.
So we would always go to this you know, a barbecue shack. And so it was, at the time it was me and my cousins. So it was me, my cousin William, my cousin Jabari, Masood, and like my cousin Fran. And so we would never like go up there to rap, but that's, you know, sometimes that would happen. And we would rap almost like as a fam. You know what I mean? Because
like
each and
like the Jackson 5 of rap.
you know what I'm saying? You know? So each and every one of us had different styles, right? And they are the ones that taught me, like, man, this is that in 79 when Sugar Hill Gang came out. Right. They were the ones that was like jumping on. I had a headache that day, and they were jumping on the bed doing the rap. And I thought they made up the rap at the time. So that's how we like had such a history together. Now I remember they were eating pomegranate. It's a wild, right? We when they be like, yo, where were you when this happened? It's like I was on the bed
with a headache,
jumping on it, and they was eating pomegranate, and I didn't want to have any parts of it. So when I finally got older, I'm still hanging with my cousins, but now all of us know how to rap. Fran too, because Fran was listening to JJ Fad.
Wow,
yes,
JJ Fad.
Yeah, son. So we, you know, we had our whole little group, but we wasn't stressing it like that. So then when we would go to the spot, we would just go get some chicken and fries. And the next thing you know, somebody would be popping off, right? And then like Will would start, you know what I'm saying? And then Masood, he was, you know, smaller at the time. Masood would start, I would start, right? By the time Fran would start, there would be like an actual
like a cipher.
No, because in Chicago, you know, if you getting beat, man, like they not really, they competitive to the point where it's like, all right, now we about to fight.
Oh,
you know what I'm we ain't
okay,
we ain't with the whole let's come back on some, you know, now I'm gonna be better than now. Right. We about to fight, you know what I mean? So here's when Rudy Jr., right? He was the biggest of us all, but he didn't rap. He was the comic kid. He was the
muscle in the comic kid.
Oh man, he wasn't trying to be the muscle. He ended up being the muscle because he would always stick up for us. You know what I mean? So he would come in, right? And he'd be like, yo, you messing with my, before he could get any words out, he was always the one that got jawed. You know what I'm saying? So, yo, you trying to, and that would cause such a disruption that all of us would run out and we would be saved, you know?
Right, I got you.
So it took him being jawed, you know what I'm saying? So that was my early years of like understanding what ciphers were, you know what I'm saying? It's like somebody always about to get hit in the face and then we all run it, you know what I mean? So anytime there was a cipher that came together, I was always like, shit, you know what I mean?
Something about to happen, yeah.
About to happen, right? You know what I mean? So I would never exert my skill. Like I would never do that because
so you held back?
I held back.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's not cool.
Held back.
All right, I got you.
So yeah, and it wasn't until like when I started like after high school, man. Like I was still practicing all my skills. I was still but I was like more of a dancer. Because back, that's when I started doing more of what my mom's was doing. And I was in a crew called COD Posse, Cash on Delivery Posse.
Right? The names, right? The dope
right,
names.
The names. We had Black and Gold. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Right? Black and Gold.
But wasn't that like Black and Gold? Wasn't that like get risky to wear those colors?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, man. You couldn't just be rocking that shit.
That's Latin King's colors, isn't that?
Yes. So we would always have to claim Neutron. We're like, we in a dance crew. You know what I'm saying? Like we Neutron. We ain't claiming nothing.
So
You know
when
what I mean?
when people step to you, did you have to like bust a move just to let them know, yo, look, man, this is what I
Sometimes,
do?
yes, sometimes, exactly. No, man, we in the dance school, you know what I mean?
I do the robot, you know.
To get out of shit, yeah, man, you had to.
All right, I
So,
got you.
so like, basically, like when after that whole thing came about, like I one of the dudes in the crew quit. And there was one time that I actually I think the new name was Joseph Glass. That was actually his name, Joe Glass. Yeah,
Isn't that like from Mike Tyson boxing?
exactly. His name was Joseph Glass.
Oh,
And he quit. And then like I ended up like taking his place just for like one time. And it was at a house party. You know what I mean? And then everybody was like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody was respecting the skill. So I went from that. And then like when I got to high school and all that, that's when I started really, really pursuing like, you know, everything. And then when what was it? It was to the East Blackwards, X Clan. X Clan came out and it was like, yeah, that's it. I'm full fledged with this.
I
And
got
all
you.
my cousins at that time, they kind of quit and fell off. You know what I'm saying? So that was like, I want to say 87, 88, 89, you know what I'm saying, is basically what I was just describing. You know what I'm saying? So right around the time of like 90, like I was getting approached by it was like Capital. I was getting approached, and then like they came at me again, like when I got to Columbia College in like 93.
Right.
And then like I went to college on a 4-year scholarship, but I went there for 5 years for art management and got certified in everything you see me do, I'm certified in.
That's dope.
Yeah. So I got my 4-year scholarship. They wanted me to go to Columbia and New York, but I didn't want to go there because I hated New York. You know, man,
I
you
don't blame
know,
you.
old school Chicago cats, man. Like we not fucking with West Coast. You know what I'm saying? Like we love
Yeah.
it. You know what I
Right.
mean? But we like, nah, we go
I understand.
go chill here, right? You know what I'm saying? So as all this stuff was coming in, you know, I started doing a promo, man. This is a huge thing of what was happening with this is like when Wu-Tang was like really starting to come out and the Method Man came up with, you know, Method Man, Method. And there was one of my guys that actually Alonzo, that started basically like a promotions company. So it was me, him, and then like some cats you hear from Mo Men, you know what I mean? And yeah, there's a lot of folks, man. And then they ended up doing like some big time promotion thing at Operation Push. And it was one of the first times that like basically Wu-Tang did a no-show. It was like a no-show. And I remember Alonzo went to jail for that. And then
They didn't show up.
they didn't show up because he was telling me what had happened.
But they got paid, basically. They
Yeah.
got paid but didn't show up, so somebody had to
Oh,
pick up the fall for it.
And he said that somebody
Really?
he said heard somebody in the background saying, I don't even like Chicago like that. Now, peep game. After that had happened, right? There was then something where they didn't show up. Alonzo went to Operation Push. He was trying to go to Ticketmaster, all of these places, and try to find out, like, man, like, how can I get these people their money back? Now, internet is not booming like that. Like,
right. It's
know,
not prevalent at the time like that. Yeah.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? So you had to do things face to face. So now you got, you know what I'm saying, something like this happening. And then the next thing that comes up is there's something in the papers. I remember we going to school, read the paper, and it's like, what? This went to jail for basically what they called a scam, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then I don't know if you remember this. This is like a white label joint. Wu-Tang came out with some joint called Promoters Try to Hold Dough.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, Promoters Try to Hold Dough, and
And
then there started like a big beef with like a lot of people a lot of people in Chicago that just wasn't feeling that. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of record deals that was being put out, like people were kind of, there was a lot of disc records happening.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And at the time, they started like bringing in a lot of people. Chicago promoters started bringing in a lot of people just to fuck them up. Because they was basically fucking with the flow of everything that was happening. And then that's when all of a sudden you hear Twista coming out with Step to Shy is Suicide. And that beef with what Tretch and all of those cats.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But he wasn't Twista then. He was Tongue Twister initially, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. But by the time he was like, what was it? Tretch was like, Chi-Town niggas are the craziest, right? But he was, all across the globe type stuff. Like when he came here, they was not feeling that.
Right. But it wasn't his fault. It was because of what Wu-Tang did.
Exactly. Well, it wasn't, I won't say that was Wu-Tang's fault more so than that might have just been the straw that broke the camel's back. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sure what the fever pitch, you know what I'm saying, was directly related to. However, that's what was happening while I was in college. You know what I'm saying? And this man went to jail and all these disc records start coming out, you know what I'm saying? But that's how I formed like relations with a lot of cats from Mole Men, you know what I'm saying? And like Tone Be Nimble and Capital D, you know what I'm saying? From All Natural.
All Natural, yep.
Yeah. Because I was doing the artwork for them at the time when they were doing promotions. I was doing
the Preservatives album. You did the artwork for that.
All preservatives, no additives. Yeah,
right. So you did the artwork for that.
I was doing the promo art for them.
Okay, damn, I didn't know you were connected like that, man.
Yeah, when we were doing promo stuff,
right.
This wasn't the actual artwork on the CDs. This because we were doing stuff to help promote them. You know what I'm saying? Right before they ended up, right before I think they had a deal with Wild Pitch. I think it took the album took too long and it didn't come out.
All right.
But yeah. So then after that, you know what I'm saying? That's more of the modern history. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
With soliloquists and all that,
All right. So Scar, the Scarlet Monk. Is that a name that somebody gave you? A name? Does it mean something to you? Like, what's the origin story of that name, Scarlet Monk?
No, I gave the name to myself, basically. There was when I was in college, I was doing a lot of stuff. So the main thing was the vocal performance. I also did dance as a minor, was on a dance scholarship, did some theater stuff as well. And there was one point where for my dance scholarship, I needed to fulfill a certain amount of hours creating something for the stage or whatever. And so, of course, I was trying to combine everything that I do. So I wrote the music score. I danced in it, had live musicians on stage with me. At the time I was dating this guy, Josh, whose mom did sewing. So she helped me sew costumes for the musicians that were on stage. So I remember the piece was a percussionist that was kind of just behind the scenes, somewhere like off stage. And then there was 3 people playing the flute, the trombone, and tenor sax. And then I was singing kind of like opera-ish stuff while dancing. It was a whole thing.
Wow.
So
it's a lot of work.
It was a lot. And I didn't need to. I could have just like choreographed a dance piece. But for me, I was like, let me see how all these things I do, like, let me try to fit it together.
So you were Paula Abdul before Paula Abdul?
But I think that was probably after.
Yeah, it was.
I know. She's an older woman. I'm just trying to give you your props. That's all.
And it was a lot more experimental.
Right.
Yeah.
But I remember, my family came to see it and they were like, what the hell? Like, what is she in college for exactly? Like, I'm the only artsy artist in the family. So, but yeah, basically I did all that. And, so I was performing, but when musicians who are not like performers like that are put on stage are kind of awkward sometimes, because they would just have to stand there and like, play the trombone. And it's like, it would kind of take the attention away from me dancing if people were doing awkward things and like looking around and, it's like, I already was thinking like, how is this perceived by the audience? Right. So what I did with my ex's mom, we sewed these huge red monk robes for them.
Wow.
So then that when the lights hit, in a very ominous way, every time they would lift their arm and like the long robe kind of everything looks theatrical then they become like a piece of the art or the dance or whatever.
Smart.
So they're like moving, whatever, as opposed to these awkward like college jazz.
Right.
So after that, like just that imagery of me and like these monks like that, I like that a lot, because then I was also left with the robes, so I did like self photo shoots in my basement, like put on the robe and take pictures. Like this is cool.
You recycled it instead of instead of just getting rid of it.
Basically. So I don't know when I actually came up with the name Scarlet Monk, but I liked it for a lot of reasons. A monk. I'm actually very much an introvert, just like he's very much an extrovert, which...
Well, he's an extrovert, big time.
I know, but I'm just as much an introvert as he is. Like, I can do the whole, network thing really well, but I'm so drained and exhausted afterwards. I'll just be in my little cocoon for the next week. So that's just how I work. And that's something we could talk about later at how we kind of find that balance. But like the whole monk idea of just kind of working on your craft kind of in your own place in solitude, observing more than talking, just kind of having that like observing the world around you and kind of focusing on your path. Like I related to that a lot. And I like the idea that Scarlet Monk could be Scarlet first name, last name Monk kind of a thing. Just like, which it became more people just started calling me Scarlet, even though a lot of them put 2 T's at the end. And every time it's gotta be like Scarlet, like the color, because I also wanted to meet, Red Monk, so that's red, like has always been like the passionate color, the scarlet letter. So it's not necessarily the holiest of monks. It's just like a real world monk that actually lives their life and, is a passionate person.
Right.
Kind of.
So I don't know if you're aware of this, because I, being in this realm and talking to artists like Swam, and I know there's always meanings to names, and even like my tag has meaning. Everything pretty much has meaning. But I don't know if you're aware of this, but your name Scarlet is associated with these words, and let me know if they stick with you: devotion, sacrifice, courage, passion, heat, and joy.
Yeah.
Everything, the joy is the thing that I've been working towards the most lately. I think as much as a lot of artists, I did get caught up with the whole like sacrifice for your art and for your life a little bit too much. Even being from Poland, from a very conservative Catholic country, where it's kind of like the purpose of your life is to bury your cross, just kind of trying to get out of that and actually like, I don't know, have a different mindset that life is not just to suffer through kind of a thing, a lot of stuff we do, even with Mugs of Pockets, we definitely take into account, conversations about mental health and all that other stuff. And just like I said, me being an introvert, one of the best things about why this works, and it can work for a longer period of time, is because I'm not pushing myself, and I don't need to push myself past my limit to make this work.
Right.
So we even think about like, what can we do instead of always doing shows that takes a lot out of me, and like constantly shaking hands and doing this and doing that, doing the promo tours where, for me, it's like, I'll get depressed, I'll get anxious, it's just, if it's too much, it'll be too much. And it's like, then I'll stop. Like, we don't want me to stop. So we do stuff like album release parties and combined with gallery shows. So, we put our art up, we're playing our album. It's an album release party. We don't have to perform, but we get to meet with people as much, as we want. If anything, I can be like, you do the talking, and I'll just sit in the background.
Exactly.
Look mysterious as a monk, and it works. But it's like those kinds of things, like we have to really take into consideration to have longevity. Like even like we're really going to the gym and making sure we do all of these things, that we're eating healthier, because like even with the voice, you know, we're both vocalists. If we don't eat a certain way, then there's a lot of issues.
You got to take care of it. That's your tools. Your
absolutely. That's why we're always with these teas. And you know, for his birthday, we did a worldwide tea party on our IG, and all these people send pictures drinking tea. It's a little thing, but it's like, if for somebody who always drinks like, you know, Coke or Sprite or something, and they during the day, one or two of those times for now, start drinking tea, it's like it's a thing, you know. It's like we're trying to be healthier, and not even on purpose set an example. It's just like we're doing that because we want to have longevity.
Exactly.
You know, so
that ends up being the lifestyle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then you know, you're really taking into account, like, okay, I'm an artist. This is what it is that I'm going to be doing for a while. I need to set myself up for that type of success. You know what I'm saying? And being able to work with her, like, it's, man, there's so much more that I get to learn about. You know what I'm saying?
So she's introducing you to newer things.
And vice versa. Like, so it's like, you know, we both become sponges again. And then like the music, you know what I'm saying? It takes on a whole nother, you know what I'm saying, plane, man. Right. Like it's on a whole nother level. So I'm super appreciative of it, man.
Yeah. And that's why people are like, you guys look like you're having fun. And it's like, aren't you supposed to? Like,
well,
we're actually learning. We're learning new things, and it's like, for me, with the music, it's really important for me that we don't, whatever we got to say, that we don't preach.
Yeah,
like people can see us doing it and draw their conclusions from that, but like whatever we feel passionate about, we're not in our songs preaching like, you should do this. Why are you doing this? Look at these people doing this. I feel like people are just like, already have like a block in front of them of people telling them what to do and how to do it, because everybody's, you know, every influencer is telling them, you're gonna eat this, it's poisonous, you're gonna die, you're gonna, you know. It's just like there's so much, people are just so bombarded that in this time we just need to make music and kind of like, look, this is how we're doing, this is how we're living. It's pretty awesome. We're learning, we're excited about it. Maybe
you're creating your own world, essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
and your own rules, you know, because what I've noticed is, and it's not a secret, like just even in the entertainment industry, artists have no control. Like you guys do. I'm saying there's little pockets of artists that have control, but most of them, they're told what to do, where to go, what to say. They have to be on social media all the time. Plus, they're dealing with their regular lives, and they're getting hit with innuendo and all this other shit from all sides. Yeah, you guys don't have the control. You guys control what you allow into your life.
Exactly.
That's what I meant about the mental health thing too. People are just getting pushed, and it's just like, you did this song, oh, that worked. People like that, just do that from now on.
Keep doing that, right?
They can't be an artist anymore. But it's like the thing that, you know, the place I was in to make me create that song, it won't be there anymore because you just took that away. You're not allowing me to express myself as an artist, you know. 100%. So it's like, it sounds like even for the same person
broken
that did
record.
It's already a copy.
Exactly.
It's already a carbon copy, even though it's the same artist. It's because now they're just repeating.
There's a conspiracy sort of thing. I don't want to really get into it with
many.
You know, the music industry. There's many. You said you're right. There's many. I don't want to really get into it, but you know, I'm happy that you guys are doing that. And I've known Swam for a long time. You know, again, and I feel like everything he touches is like gold because it's original. It comes from his heart. It's not manufactured. Some sort of like, you know, studio or something. But Swam, your name, okay? So Master Killer, Raz Kaz, you got MC Killer 9000. You know, you got all these ill names. Everybody wants to be the illest. And then, you know, you have chilled out Swamburger.
Swamburger.
Were you always Swamburger? And how did you? Where did that come from?
Okay, cool. Well, a lot of what we just touched on, right? The reasons that I have that name, like stem from that. You know, they stem from that type of thinking. where it's like, okay, like there's a lot of people out here, you know, and this is during that time where you had Level Aquanaut and, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody trying to give themselves something, some bit of importance through their title. You know what I mean? And me, I was all about action. I was always about action. So like for me, it was like, it was almost like the medicine in the Twinkie. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not gonna really find out who this person is until like you actually have a conversation or you listen to the music or whatever, right? See the art. So Swam, because my real name Asan, like, but Swam came to me by way of my cousins when we were hanging out, not being able to pronounce my name, Asan, right? So they kept saying San, Swan, and then Swam, right? And Swam was the one that stuck. And like even as a shorty, man, like I was always like, okay, cool, like I'm gonna make that stand for something.
Right.
So I made it stand for an acronym way back in the day, which was Survival with the Mind. So the reason why I was Survival with the Mind, and the reason why even survival came up was again living in Chicago.
Wouldn't that be survival with a mind, not the mind?
No, that's what I said. Survival with the mind.
The mind?
Mind.
A mind.
Yeah,
You keep
survival.
saying the. You hear it, right?
No,
I said,
No, you
you
would say
said,
the.
you said the.
Oh, okay. Survival with the mind.
With a mind.
But I think it's because you're saying it fast
Oh,
that
with
you're.
the.
It's like
With
yeah, it's
the.
like
Okay.
With yeah, my bad. Okay,
No,
I see.
you're good. You're good. I understand, man.
No, but
I
that's
know,
what's up.
man.
Oh, yo, no. Hey, but
That's
see
what I
that,
do.
but that right there, like that is part of the process.
The
Because
growth.
that, of course, watch, which is why I'm such a sponge, you know, for it, because we just talked about that name, but like, yo, but it will be in the music as well. It'll be in the art. Like if I draw something a certain way, it'll be like, yo, somebody might perceive that this way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh,
that comes from like all the
that's
anxiety
so dope, though.
and the overthinking. I think
Right.
of everything from every point of view as like,
Right.
no, this could mean this or this. Like that's why I need so much time to like chill. It's because
Right.
my brain is always like, anyway.
So
but
there's a yin and yang thing going on.
oh
It's
my
basically.
goodness, yes.
Okay.
Because because
he'll just go.
I'll just
like,
go.
Yeah. My way.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying with the amount of going that I have, I always have that. Nothing stops. You know what I'm saying? However, like when you give me more to go on, it's like, oh my goodness. And it's been so much more effective, right? So survival with a mind. There we go. You know what I mean? and then Burger came later. Burger came when I was in college. Burger came by way of a guy by the name of Mizo, right? Or Michael Arizola, and who I believe is in the West Coast now, Cali. But this was during the time that I like switched up, you know what I'm saying, my eating, and like basically was like trying out vegetarianism, right? And as soon as I did that, like he was on it, teasing me left and right. You know what I'm saying? Like I would come in from school or from classes, and he would be waiting at the door because he knew what time I came in. He'd be waiting at the door with a big, juicy ass burger, right?
That's not cool.
Yo, making the juice. But on top of this, making the juice drip down his.
Oh man, that's jacked up, man.
Oh, sorry. Making the juice drip down his chin, right? And then I would just come into this and be like, man, what are you doing? And he'd be like, getting the Swamburger.
Oh,
Yes,
that's dope. Okay.
Yes. And then I think he surprised his own self because he was like, wait a minute. He said that would be a dope name. And then he said, yo, that would be such a dope name. He was like, because in a world where everybody's talking about, you know, like again, the Level Aquanauts and the Master Killers and, you know what I'm saying, this, that, the third, he was like, yo, you could be that one dude that's just like, what is that? You You know what I mean? And I was
Honestly,
like,
that name would pique people's interest to want to know
yes,
who you are
yes,
more than Master Killer, right?
right, exactly. Or
Plus,
especially in that realm.
he, from what I remember, because I heard the story many times, he
Mhm.
basically dared you,
He dared me.
and that was the thing. If you
Oh
dare,
shit.
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, I dare you to try to make it as an artist with a name like Swamburger.
Oh
Exactly.
wow.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
What's his name?
His name's Miguel Arizola.
But I'm saying he had a name, like a nickname called Mizo.
Mizo won. And he was
Is
also part of our team with
right?
what we call the last half of Human. But
Because
we
he
were
sounds
doing the
familiar.
promo. Yeah, we were doing the promo for All Natural as well.
Yeah, he
Back
sounds familiar.
yeah, back in the day. So
So go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yes, not that good. So he goes, yeah, he's like, yeah, I dare you, you know what I'm saying, to make it in the industry with a name like that. And I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I'm taking that name on. So I did my thing. Now, during the time that I was touring with Da Vinci, you know what I'm saying, and everybody, we were on tour with Sage Francis, and we played the Henry Fonda Theater, right? Sold out, right? And during the middle of my set, he shouts something out that says robotic industry, right? Now, this was a song that I did in college that he actually filmed. It was me and him. And we were one of the first people to like actually put a video up online and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was actually interactive too. So he did something. Yeah, he did something. He did something that was called oh man, I forget what it is. But like with robotic industry, we filmed like I want to say we filmed in like 7 different spots, right? And during that time, he got to learn, you know, the song. So here I am at the Henry Fonda Theater. We're at a break in the music, and he goes, "Robotic industry, yeah," like that. And I was like, "Yo, there's nobody else but Mizo that knows that song, right?" So I'm like, "Mizo, like in this, mind you, we're in front of a huge crowd, right?"
Oh, so he's in the crowd yelling this out?
Crowd yelling that.
And you don't know he's there?
And I don't know he's there. And he goes, robotic industry. Yeah, like that. And I was like, Mizo? It totally caught me off guard, right? So this is a huge awkward moment in all these people, but I didn't care. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, Mizo. And then he was like, then I see him. And I'm like, oh, snap. Mind you, I hadn't seen this cat in like mad years.
Right.
This is college, you know? And so we get to doing our last songs, you know what I'm saying? And I ended up, everybody loved it. I ended up going to find him when he came up to the merch booth. He shows up, and the first thing I pull up is a Swamburger. It says it on the side, Swamburger vinyl. And I handed it to him, and I said, I did it.
Wow, that's dope, man.
I did
that's
it.
Dope.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I made it in the industry with it. And that was my first vinyl, too. And I made sure that it said Swamburger on the side.
That's Roots of Kin? Or is that
That was I believe that was Roots of Kin, actually.
So it was Roots of Kin, the one where you're on the cover.
Roots of Kin.
Okay.
Yeah. With the
03? 02 or 03?
I think that was 02. Because it was 02 because it was talking about the 9/11 stuff too on the back.
Right. I'm trying to think. Eighth Dimension Records.
Yep, Eighth Dimension, and it was 9 to 5 Portrait. That was the
first track.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
remember that.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, because Insomniac was all over that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember that.
Man.
So let's jump into this part where you are in Chicago. And you decide to move to Orlando. What was the reason for that? When, you know, New York is huge, it's blowing up. Yeah. Cali's huge, it's blowing up. You know, why? And I mean, shit, you could have went to Philly, you could have went to Detroit, Texas, really, but like Orlando. Why Orlando?
I was in the skating, you know what I'm saying, also at the time. And
skateboarding?
Skateboarding, yeah.
Okay.
So I was into skateboarding. So like when I went to Florida, I was like, yo, it is sunny all the time here. What's good? So my dad's job, like I said, went from One South Wacker at AT&T to AT&T in Altamont, right?
Ah,
Altamont, Florida. And and so while he was there, like, and I was still in college, my mom eventually ended up moving out there with him because she was trying to sew up some things with her job at Roseland, right? Roseland Hospital. And then after I got done with college, I went to go live with them for a little bit just to kind of make sure that they was good. But then I was gonna go back to Chicago, right? Ended up meeting people, doing a bunch. Basically, I became the big fish in a little pond, and I
right.
loved it. You know what I'm saying? And I was
So
like,
was there a culture already established at that
no,
time?
no, the skateboard culture,
Okay.
and then there was BMF. You know what I'm saying? And they had like their little they had the Fat and Jazzy was going on. You know what I'm saying? But there was nothing really there was nothing that I saw coming from
Right.
Chicago going
Right.
to Florida. There was nothing. It was like,
And what year was that you made the
was-
transition?
that was 98 that I actually made the transition
To Orlando?
to Orlando. That was 98. But 93, from 93 is when I actually started going back and forth. But
Okay, you were going back and forth.
I was still in college during the time. So I would just go there during the summer.
All
You know
right.
what
So
I'm saying?
you want to hear a story?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay.
Oh,
So this is around 93, 94. Okay. So I moved to Florida from New York in 89. And it's me and my brother, with my mother and my stepdad at the time. So anyway, we were really big into hip hop at that time. We were in our own little group, even though we didn't do anything with it. But we would always go to downtown Orlando. And you know how downtown Orlando got on the weekends, okay? That walk that everybody used to do, where you go like in this really huge circle, and then like for me, I run into girls, get numbers, blah blah. I run into people that I knew, but there was always this one spot by the Central Station, where there were these big ass ciphers that would form.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
And that's where I met you. I met X and the NITE crew around that time.
Yeah.
I met Sin Omen, who came from Deltona. Yep. They would come down to do that. And I met you. Me and my brother met you. I talked to him last night, and I'm pissed because he doesn't remember, but I remember meeting you.
Wow, man. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, man. That's when I first met you.
The funny thing is about that is that I actually battled them cats.
That's what you were doing.
Yeah.
It was you battling all these dudes, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like,
that was how I was making my name.
Dude, I would be like, okay, I know they're together and I know they're together and they're battling, but I'm like, this is one guy by himself and he's fucking all these dudes up. I'm like, I'm on his side.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, man. No, you good.
So listen, talk a little bit about like the roots of kin, the process. Like, you said you were going back and forth, right?
Yeah.
So was it something where you handed whoever runs that label a demo and they caught wind of you? Like, how did that whole process go down?
So that's
and I promise, Scar, I'll jump right back into you.
I'm good. I got my tea.
Introvert.
No, right. So I basically, that's how I learned more about the industry is linking up with Eighth Dimension. And basically I learned how to become an artist for myself and not necessarily just for the industry. And that was because that Gerard Mitchell, who was actually running the social at the time, you know what I'm saying, with Fat and Jazzy and BMF and those cats, he got burned in the industry like bad. And
like
then
how?
Like I don't know the details of it, but basically like lost a lot of money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then vowed to never do that shit again. And like that's when they started being more of a publishing company as well as a label. You know what I'm saying?
I asked that because I know he was a big influence.
Oh yeah,
out here, and then he just disappeared, and I don't know why. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that was it. Like he got burned, and then like came back with a vengeance, basically, and then ended up owning the social. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So then, as that was happening, Roots of Kin I was like the big kid on the block, you know what I'm saying? Because everybody was like, who is this? Just like you said, like, who is this one dude taking out all these all these folks, or at least trying to? You know what
Right,
I'm saying?
right. Well, to
Like,
me, you were taking them out. They
oh,
can say
I
whatever
mean,
they want.
I was taking them out. I was taking them out because I can tell you that, like, when my boy Shy from Firestone, he would do like his events there, and like there would be battle events, and I would just, during the time, man, my people were like Juice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Rhyme. It's like, so, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? These are folks who I was like trying to rhyme against. You know
Those
what
were
I'm saying?
they're killers. Those are killers,
Yeah,
man.
man. And you like, yo, you know you're gonna get crushed by these
Right.
cats. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
But
So
you
it's like,
learn.
what? Yeah, exactly. But for me, I was always like, I'm always the kid that's like, man, I don't care who that person is. I'm like, you gonna see me. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like,
right, right, right.
so I would just try. You know what I'm saying? And it finally got to that point where out here in Orlando, well, out there in Orlando, where like I was doing like, man, I was doing every show, you know what I'm saying, whether it was freestyling or whether it was showcasing what it is that I was able to do, and looking for producers, looking for jazz heads, because that's who I vibed with the most, because I could also run different time signatures, you know what I'm saying? So anytime I was at like a hip hop spot, the next time I would be at like Dante's, you know what I'm saying, which was what it was called before. It was called Pulse out there in Orlando, Florida. So I would be there with Anthony Cole, you know what I'm saying, and Matt Lapham and Roland on the guitar. And so that was how I got my, and Sam Rivers at times, you know what I'm saying, when he was, alive and well, like doing his thing out there. So that's how I was like developing my chops and simultaneously making the actual album for what would then become, the Roots of Kin. I also met Beef Wellington during this time. He
Yeah.
was actually in the crowd while I was doing things with BMF, and I actually, learned about him. He gave me a tape, man, and I actually
Yeah.
listened to it and got in touch with him the next day.
And you did something with him, right?
Oh
You
yeah,
did an
oh
album
yeah,
with
that
Beef
was
Wellington,
Feel
right?
Fantabulous,
That's
and
it.
then we created the Fantabulous family from that.
That's
That
it.
actually ended up being on The Wire.
Yep.
So yeah, we got a lot of play from that, and then also Eighth Dimension is the team that actually helped us push a lot of that stuff on mainstream television. You know what I'm saying? So as far as the Roots of Kin, though, everything that I was learning from BMF as well as Beef Wellington, and even more so from Beef Wellington, I just started implementing, you know what I'm saying, into like my own production. And then obviously there's a lot of Beef Wellington production on that, but I kind of really honed in on my style by way of like, going to these different spots, like the freestyle spots, and then also like the battle spots, and then the jazz spots, and just kind of, cultivating all of that stuff and putting it into one album,
Were you a part of like remember Lebanese? I don't know if you remember
The
Lebanese. There's a club called the Lebanese. Back in the
nah,
days, they used to bring like Smith and Wesson and Boot Camp Clip. You probably weren't. You might not have been
yeah,
here during that time. But
nah, I don't think I was. But that, I mean, I do remember like Boot Camp Click and Smith and Wesson has always been Florida's almost favorite. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? A lot of the MCs, like they really, really like those styles. A lot of people took on
but
those styles.
but they don't come out here anymore that much. Like
Yeah.
the like shows are different out here now. Like people skip Orlando. We'll get into that. Now
Mm.
back to you, Scar. You ready?
Sure.
Uh-huh.
You can jump in anytime. You know that.
Yeah,
It's
I
not,
know. I was chilling.
there's no rules here. You can jump in anytime. I wanted to know, like, while he's going through that during those years, I would imagine at that time you were getting introduced to the Chicago art scene, music, everything. So can you get into like what that was like and how that influenced you and how that drew you down the path that you're currently on?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't really get to even be aware of the hip hop scene until my college years. So like I said, in high school, the last 2 years, that's when I was able to do the dance and the choirs. And the choirs, that's what really did it. Like just listening to the harmonies and being around people who were just like really good, and having a choir director. Her name was Gloria Brown, who was so passionate about it. And, we actually had like soloists that, I was a soprano, and there was this one lady, I think her name was Nithya, that could hit these crazy high whistle notes.
Right.
And I was like, enchanted,
Right.
And so like, but that was it for high school, because I was really just getting to know life in Chicago still, because when I moved at 12, I learned English really fast within a year or so. But, so people automatically thought that, I knew what was going on, but I didn't, because the first year I lost a lot of time. So I wasn't actually doing that well in schoolwork, because even though I could communicate all the words you needed for different subjects or for history or math, I didn't really know a lot of that stuff. So like I sounded like I knew how to speak English, but I necessarily didn't know a lot, and I was the big fish in a small pond in Poland. And then once I got there, I felt really lost for a good amount of time, because people just kind of were like, okay. And I was just like, I literally don't know what's going on.
Right. But I would imagine in a big city, people,
From
even
a farm,
themselves,
like
even people who are born and raised like in big cities, like even in New York, people born and raised, they're still lost because it's such a big city, so much going on. I can imagine how you felt.
And looking back, I put myself in so many dangerous situations, just not understanding how cities work.
Wow.
Okay,
and it's just like, I went to, like I mentioned, to Whitney Young, which was basically a little south of downtown, coming all the way from the West. So even to high school, I traveled an hour and a half on buses to and from every day, through different neighborhoods, through different things. Like I didn't really know what was going on. But so like I was just kind of like getting to know, and being a teenager and trying to be a rebel too, you'll put yourself like on purpose into situations or like it's just like, it was I don't know how I
curiosity too. I'm pretty sure you were curious about the city too and wanting to do things. But
finally, like I said, when I moved here, I had this idea of Hollywood and like music and things. Finally, I was getting glimpses of that, right? When I wasn't just living in a, apartment from a bungalow, like just in the, because, so much of Chicago is just like neighborhoods. It's not really till you go downtown that you're like, oh, this looks like a city. A lot of it is just like every neighborhood looks kind of the same. You just people sitting on the porch and just like, it's just
watching,
like, right. But it's not that exciting. Nothing like America from TV about it, Right. So when I was in high school and I started traveling and kind of meeting different people and whatever, I was getting glimpses of that, and then singing, making music, choirs, all these amazing dancers. And it also gave me a lot of different ideas than I think what a lot of people have with this school. Like, for example, to me, all the ballerinas I knew were Black, or most Black or mixed, or, because that's what the school was. Just like I said, the teacher was from Alvin Ailey. So even later on in life, when people being like, a lot of Black people are not represented in the dance industry, I was like, all I know are Black ballerinas. Right. Like to me, there's so many skewed things, because my school was a performance school that was at such a high level, but it was definitely a magnet school. So they made sure people were coming in from like every background,
they were trying to integrate everything.
Yeah. So for me, like all my kind of like messed up as I was trying to learn, big city and in America and Chicago. And anyway, but to get to the question, in college is when I kind of started finding things. So now I started thinking I was going to do a psychology major. But when I took my first elective, it was like intro to music or something, intro to music theory. I was like, oh yeah. Remember, that's what I wanted to do. And like right away, like changed it. I went the safe route still because I was like, okay, there's that voice in the back of your head, like, be responsible, do like music education. So in case you can be a teacher, that didn't last either. I was like, no.
Wow.
I can't do that. I cannot. It's like there's something that just doesn't let me. It's just like, no, you're not gonna go the safe route. You don't even like kids.
No, it's the same. Like with me, I went to school for IT, but it was a design school.
Yeah.
And once they, because first I went for IT, and then the motherfucker upsold me to become a web designer. He upsold me to do web designer because that program cost more money.
Yeah.
But in reality, during that time, if you were a web designer, you made money. But like once I took the art classes, though, I was like, fuck web design. I'm just gonna be a digital designer because it's just it connected with it. So it's the same thing. Like you had all these aspirations, but then you go to that one class and it's like you can't deny it. That's what I want to do.
My counselor was actually the head of the music education program. So she was kind of wanting me to go that direction. And when I told her, like, I'm switching to music performance, like, she was literally like mad at me. She was like, you know what? You're so talented that everything is easy for you. And this is the first time something hard came up in your way and you're quitting. And I was like,
because it is what it is. Right. You know what you want.
I was like, because to me, I was like, I'm not. I just don't want to do this.
Right.
Like when I feel like I don't want to do something, like get out of my way, so I can focus on what I'm trying to do.
I know that.
Yeah.
Are you learning, Swam?
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah, you already know.
So what happened was, like, I was in the music program learning, to sing in Italian and French and whatever, doing the opera thing. Then I was doing the dance stuff. Then I had another scholarship that was theater, so I had to put in some hours towards that. And then what happened was we had this little cafe in the middle of like the college campus where sometimes they would bring in people to perform. And one day they brought in Pugs Adams to perform and do
Pugsley Adams,
his hip hop set.
Yeah.
I just remember sitting there and be like, what's all this about?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, Pugs is dope.
I was like used to listening to like, Biggie, Tupac, Lil Kim, like that sort of thing. Like that's what hip hop is. And like I very much liked it. Like huge fan of Lil Kim, huge fan of Missy Elliott, that whole Missy Elliott, Aaliyah, Timbaland vibe. Like that was my thing. Like just like I like that.
I mean, it was dope. I mean,
yeah.
Timbaland's a dope producer,
Yeah, and just Missy Elliott, how creative she was. The video, it's just like whoa, you don't have to like. This isn't. This,
Yeah.
But when I heard it live in the city I was living, and somebody doing it like super well with so much charisma and just style, I was just like, I like that a lot.
Right.
So later, through more the classical thing again, there was his name was Matthew Golubinsky. He still has Ears and Eye Records, but he had like a string kind of group, like little mini orchestra, but they would perform at like, I don't know. I know Darkroom was one of them. But anyway, I saw a video of them playing their like string quartet or whatever stuff with Philip Morris, an MC from Chicago, like rapping on top of the string.
That's dope.
And I was just like, there it is. That's where I fit. That's how I fit in, because like I only had the more classical and jazz kind of thing going on, but I was already really leaning towards that. I just didn't know where would I fit in.
Right.
And so like I became super good friends with Philip Morris. I was actually like his hype woman for shows for a while. We have like yeah, it was crazy.
That's dope.
We actually opened up, we went to Minneapolis, opened up for Lizzo once before Lizzo was Lizzo, and it's just like, because we had that same kind of like super hype big shows like Philip Morris. Like I just loved working with him. I think that was my first, like what we have now. My first was with Philip Morris, and we did music videos as well. We never formed a group. It was more, but he was on my first album that I put out in 2011. I had Philip Morris on it. I had MC Adad on it. It's because I really, like, I loved that kind of juxtaposition
Mhm.
of my type of singing, because I loved, you know, the Portisheads and the Massive Attacks at the
Portishead,
time.
dope. Yes.
But it was just
Mhm.
like the Portishead had my kind of voice, my kind of singing, but still had that head noddy kind of a
Right.
thing that worked really well with MCs, and like that's kind of what I fell in love with back then. So
Yeah, that's that
what
whole
it's-
trip hop and all jungle
Yeah.
and all that other. So Goldie, who started it all, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. Are you still in contact with Morris, or he?
Oh
Or
yeah. One of my best friends forever. We made this video called Hell Yeah, where I have like a shaved head and I kidnap him. It's still on. We just made some really awesome music.
Yeah.
Is your stuff still out there to purchase, like your first album or any, or
My
is it
first
like one of
album
those?
is out there. It was released through a record label that no longer really functions, and it hasn't for years. So I really have no contact with that,
Right.
so it's just like if people buy it, I don't know if I ever see it. So that's why I've been just pushing the new project.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, is it under Scarlet Monk?
Yeah, everything would still be under the Scarlet Monk name. Yeah.
And what's the name of that album? That first album? I want to look for it. That's why.
Annabella.
Annabella. Okay.
Annabella. Yeah. So that's out there, and the video,
awesome.
Philip Morris. It's called Hell Yeah. Yeah.
You with the shaved head. I got to see that.
Shaved many times in my life.
Yeah.
I feel like whenever I was going through like some kind of change in life, was just like
Yep.
this. So that's another monk thing, that not even on purpose, just like I have that.
Super dope.
Because then I'm like, that makes you focus, you know, because it's like, I don't know what that means. It's just like I go into my like zone, like I want to accomplish something, like, shave my head, start working out, start making music, and I'm in the zone, because then I don't have to really, you know, I think a thing about being a woman in the industry, there's so much put on the looks, and it's just like I want to get that out of the way. It's like okay, so now you're not going to pay attention to me because of the long hair or what I'm dressed as. You'll have to like pay attention to what I'm doing. So when I go into these zones, I'm just like getting all those things out of the way.
You don't want to be superficial.
Right. So I'm just like craft. You like it or you don't like it.
Right.
Dope, bro.
I'm telling you, B. I'm telling you, yo. Exactly.
All right, Swam. All right, so we have to talk about it. All right. So you're a solo artist. You come, you know, context. You're a solo artist. You come back and forth from Orlando. Blah blah blah. Yeah. I meet you. You killing everybody, freestyle wise, destroying everything. And then the next time I see you, you're part of a group called Soliloquist of Sound. So just get into basically how did it form?
Yeah.
What was the mission? You know, things along those lines.
Well, things formed with me and Da Vinci first.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the way that was that once we met each other, we were being introduced from people from his school, which was Full Sail at the time that he was going to, and then I was being introduced to him by way of a guy by the name of Titus, which was actually a teacher at Full Sail, but I was doing some what was it, Blues Schoolhouse. I was the Blues Schoolhouse griot at House of Blues, right?
Okay.
We were teaching kids about the blues, right, through our art forms. You know what I'm saying? So everything's kind of, stemming from the blues. So Chrissy Roach was like the head of that, I believe. And that's how I met Jackie, Miss Jacqueline Jones, jazz singer. That's how I met Larry McCrae, bassist, and then like a few other folks as well. And while that was happening, it was something, man, it was like I was doing all of this other stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then like at the height of that is when I met Da Vinci. But also what kept me, this is crazy, right? What kind of kept me from becoming more of the solo artist was not just that introduction, but it was also 9/11. You know what I'm saying?
And how?
Huh?
And why? Why is that?
Yeah, so 9/11 hit, right? But just before it, there was like a lot of I was getting like a lot of fame, if you will, right? Like I was on the cover of Orlando Weekly and things like this, and then like people were talking about me. You know what I'm saying? There was a pirate radio station. Yeah, there was a pirate radio station that was talking shit basically, and me and Magic Mike. Mike.
Yes, I remember Magic Mike. Yeah.
Magic Mike called me up and was like, "Yo, why they talking shit about you?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think we're gonna have to make a diss track." And I was about to make a diss track to the whole pirate radio station with me and DJ Magic Mike.
That would have been
and the next day was 9/11.
Mm.
And I rethought my whole shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was like, yeah, this ain't it.
Divine intervention, right? That's what they call it?
It was. You know what's crazy is that Da Vinci used to call himself the Divine Inch.
Oh, shit. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
thanks for letting me know that. Okay.
Yeah. He's a little spiritual guy, B. I'm telling you, a lot of times throughout life, and you'll see how that connects. You know what I'm saying? With this story too. But so I had met him. You know what I'm saying? We started working on his ex's solo album, and that's like kind of how we built like our relationship. Then we got introduced to Charles Wilson III, who ended up doing stuff for Justin Timberlake, John Mayer, you know what I'm saying? A lot of other people, like he's called Black Block, you know what I'm saying? Or Black Bach, I'm sorry. The pianist.
Like, oh, okay, Bach. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Super dope. Right. So, and all of us had, well, him and Da Vinci had Dilla in common. You know what I'm saying? They loved Dilla. You know what I mean? So we would have sessions where we would get up together, you know what I'm saying, make that happen. And during that time, I think is when we actually came up with Soliloquist of Sound or Soliloquist or something like this, right?
So it was just you and him at the time?
It was me, him, and Charles.
Okay, Charles, okay.
That was basically Soliloquist of Sound.
Okay, you know I gotcha.
At the time. And then Alex came in by way of like from Chicago, you know what I'm saying? So that was from my Chicago years out there. And then when she ended up moving out to Orlando, like we formed that group, Soliloquist of Sound, but it was basically us taking on the name that Da Vinci had made for me, him, and Charles.
I got you.
Know?
Okay.
So Soliloquist at one point was me, Charles, Da Vinci, Alex. You know what I'm saying? That was the four. So the first promo thing that I drew up with in color pencils was those four. You know what I'm saying?
Was that In Between Worlds? Was that the first one? Or?
That was actually after that. It was actually after that because In Between Worlds was more so like me and Da Vinci, you know what I'm saying? And then Alex, like when she would visit, you know what I'm saying? And then after In Between Worlds was for Student Council. And that one was the one that was like pretty much like the official like local.
The official first album? Was that the official first? Okay.
Yeah. And so we were pushing that and we did that on tour and everything. But the way that all of that stuff became was like when I helped introduce Alex to the group, like Da Vinci was like, okay, like I'm with it. Like him and his ex had broken up at that time. And then we just started focusing on our music. You know what I mean? So then like when we started making that music, that basically became like a huge goal. I mean, me, I'm already like, I'm going to push everything I do. You know what I'm saying? So I was out there on them streets like 24/7. You know what I'm saying?
I know. I saw you by the subway in downtown Orlando.
Exactly. It's like out there on the streets, just like bam, bam, check us out. We had gotten on tour. We got introduced to the same talent scouts that were scouting me for like 5 years. That was Josh Bomel. Josh Bomel ended up becoming like the manager, if you will, for Lauryn Hill. And that's actually how Da Vinci got linked up with Lauryn Hill. You know what I'm saying? It's through, you know what I'm saying, this relationship. Now, when me and Da Vinci had started that relationship of me and him going out and actually doing shows, Josh Bomel approached us again, right? And then asked us if we were ready. You know what I'm saying? And I said no. So once we had me, him, and Alex, and then Tanya at the time, like then I it was like a year later, I went up to Josh Bommel and was like, yo, we're ready. And we opened up for Scratch from The Roots, and who else was it? No. It wasn't Scratch. It was we opened up for Pharoah Monch and CeeLo Green.
Damn, that's a good concert right there, man. Is that Internal Affairs, Pharoah Monch?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's after Organized Confusion, right?
Yes. That's after Organized Confusion. So we opened up for those two, and we killed it. I mean, we killed it. You know what I'm saying? And during that time, I actually got to tell Pharoah Monch that I'm the guy that beat him out for the John Madden 2002 rap. And that's how I got my money. That's how I got my claim to fame.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then I opened up my own store, you know what I'm saying, called Culture Mart, you know what I'm saying? But
I remember that.
Yeah, that's how all of that formed.
Right.
And then, like, we got signed, we got picked up by, what was it? We got picked up by Epitaph / Anti Records. Our catalyst, was Sage Francis. And he took us on 2 of his tours.
Right.
And we toured, like, our last 8 tours ended up being in France. So like we did a lot, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But during that time, like, there was this time where it was like it kept hitting a wall. You know what I mean? Because we were always the first to do some shit. You know what I'm saying? So nobody had ever heard or seen anything like what we were doing. And there was nothing that could follow it. There was nothing that could be that was like the predecessor, if you will, of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was just like, fuck, like we can't move, because you're like, it's almost like what
like you hit a plateau.
Yeah,
right?
like you have Thomas Edison, and then you have, like these people who start like electricity, right? But the one you keep hearing about is the guy, you know what I'm saying, that has this story that everybody follows now. And it's like, okay, nobody's no longer talking about Tesla, more so than we're talking about, you know what I'm saying, this other cat. So it's like, oh my God, wow. You know what I mean? So for us, the story was like, there's no other soliloquist, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Well, until now.
I got you, brother. I got you. It's kind of a good thing and a bad thing, right? Because then you didn't have anybody copying. Because I don't really hear anybody copying your that style.
Well, they
can't. That's a style you can't really copy. You can try; it just sound foolish doing it.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, so like you had how many albums altogether? Like what was the 7 releases, I believe?
Man, I have 30 albums that to my name.
But I'm talking about under the soliloquist of sound, like there's about 7 releases.
It was no. Oh wait, oh shit, yeah, about
because you have to count like the lost tapes, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the lost tapes thing and all that. So I hate to ask you this, right? Because I know like when you ask somebody a question like, "What's your favorite?" And they're like, "All of them." Don't say all of them. Which one was your favorite album to make out of all of those?
My favorite album to make out of all of them was probably,
and why?
Probably No More Heroes.
And why?
And the reason why was because for me specifically, like I felt like when I was telling Da Vinci, because we always have these talks right before an album comes out, you know what I'm saying? And when I was telling Da Vinci like all of this shit, I was like, this is what I want to do. And we basically did that. And I felt like I got to do exactly what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? And it was no longer like, just like being like, all right, cool, let's do this for these people, let's do this for you know what I'm saying? Right. Like and we weren't doing, like we were still doing our thing, but you got 4 different folks that's like, I want to do this, I want to do this. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, word. So on No More Heroes, I felt like we kind of like
that's when you finally were a group.
Was there? Yeah, exactly. And it was like, all right, cool, I want to do this.
And was it also maybe because like you said, you're doing something for this person, that person, that album, maybe it was like you did it for yourselves.
Yeah, yeah. It was all of the joints that we ever did was for ourselves. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? It was just like it got to that point where it's like, this is it. This is where the glue is, And then I think that was the one that actually did the best too, you know.
And
I
so then,
love
go ahead.
performing more than the other ones as well, and remember them like that.
I always felt like you guys were always getting better, with each
Yeah,
subsequent album, because I guess maybe you were learning things, and you were
yeah.
interjecting newer stuff each time. But I wanted to ask you about the culture in Orlando,
Mhm.
particularly the hip hop culture, because I felt there was a time where you had X, you had a bunch of artists. I mean, even from like Deltona, the guys from Deltona, what you guys were like right about to break through, you
Yeah,
know, and just never happened.
yeah.
Why?
Uh,
I
man,
mean, I know it's a tough question, man, but
no, no, no. For me personally, I've always felt that the internet is like the cap because everybody can do it. Everybody has access to you 24/7. Everybody has access to music. They think about music in a totally different way. And there's no longer like a totem pole, if you will. Like, for instance, when I hear her talk about like her story from coming from Poland and looking at America, she's looking at a television, which is the representation of America. However, what you see on that television, although it's not all, what I'm saying, glitz and glamour, you know what I mean?
right,
Like,
right, right.
what you're seeing on television is one viewpoint, right? And the one viewpoint gives everybody one thing to think about. Now, you can have many different thoughts about this one thing, you know what I'm saying? Which is cool, but a lot of times you're going to find like your happy medium of like, oh man, I think that way too, you know what I'm saying, about this one thing. So now you have this story of fame, you know what I'm saying? Where like fame was not necessarily the real reason why we became artists, you know what I'm saying? But now fame is being measured by way of views. You know what I mean? So now you can say to yourself, you can even look at yourself and be like, man, I put out this video and this kid picking boogers out of his nose is getting way more views than me. He's more famous than me. I shouldn't even make music. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, so the way that I was looking at it was like you're basically taking everything as far as entertainment is concerned and you're putting it into one specific platform. You know what I'm saying? I never really liked that. I never really liked having everything on my phone. You know what I'm saying? I was the cat that carried the flip phone until I couldn't anymore. You know what I
Right.
mean? Obviously you have everybody just like, man, you still got the flip phone, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a different world. You know what I mean? But what that world then does is it changes your outlook on everything. So there is no more fame. That's why the whole thing was like, for me, was like no more heroes. Like there's no
Ah,
more,
right,
but there's also no more platforms. There's no more, so everything gets X'd out. You know what I'm
right.
saying? So now, like what we then have, what I'm looking at is I'm looking at my specific culture and I'm saying, okay, this person helps to do this person helps to do that. But for every person that there's a replacement, you know what I'm saying, in everyone else's eyes. So now it's like, okay, X, we don't really need him because we got a person down the street that does that. You know what I'm saying? And now they're looking at it, since they're looking at it with by way of views, you know what I'm saying? They'll look at it like, okay, well, we got 5 people that like who this person is. Let's put him in that position, even if he can't do it. We got people
Right.
that like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
now it gets run by people who can't really do things but have popularity with the community, you know what I'm saying, that says that you should be doing it. You know what I mean? So it's yeah, that to me is how it kind of rearranged a lot of the platforms that we were standing on,
Yeah,
So
because Orlando has so much talent. I mean, a lot of fucking talent.
yeah,
And when I mean Orlando, I mean like Deltona,
yeah, of
Tampa,
course, of course.
and just nothing came from it. It
Yeah.
just kind of deteriorated essentially. You know.
And like I said, there was, it I don't think it got beat out by anything else other than like platform that we were trying to put ourselves on, which was hip hop in general. Now, if we came with if this was more, I'm for lack of better words, segregated, you know what I'm saying, in a way where you said Orlando hip hop specifically, like if everybody was just pushing marketing wise, or this is Orlando hip hop, we have a different style on purpose. You know what I'm saying?
Ozone.
This is Ozone hip hop, right? Then I think it would have done better, but we never get taught that. You know what I'm saying? That's also the thing with America. Americanized things is like we get taught things from the perspective of you already being in it, not from the perspective of oh, here's a beginner. This is how you want to start out. You know what I'm saying? So people don't know how to market themselves. People don't know how to get together and market themselves. They just know, oh, every man for himself. I have a platform. I got this. You know what I'm saying? I can put myself on here. Let's go.
I got you.
But I think also the idea of now content, right? Because now if anybody has something that gets all these views, they have to keep providing that very, very, very quickly, or else those people will move on, right? So even with our car videos, we did the first one, a month or two passed, we did the second one, and now already everybody's just like, what are you guys gonna do for the third one? How are you gonna top that? Because people are just now so used to like, oh, next week are we gonna come up with something that's just like mind-blowing? We won't. Because just because now the audience or the fans are almost like trained that way by the algorithms. We're not going to do that, because I know in a week we're not going to put out anything that we're that excited or great, or it's going to become pressure to put out this thing that's like, and so much of it just becomes then tricks. It becomes like, what can you do? Can we do it faster so people are impressed? It's like we did the faster because it was fun for us.
Right.
We enjoy it, and we like pushing ourselves. But like when, how we talked about what audiences now kind of respond to, it's like the level is somewhere else, because like how important in all this is the creativity, how important is style, sometimes it's just technical skill and none of those other things that made artists. So for us, we really have to slow down sometimes, and it's like, we'll make you wait, because until we're ready, like going to become like crappy artists. You don't want us to be crappy artists, but you also have to understand that we're not going to try to keep up with this. Like, let's put out content every day.
You're not machines.
No, or robots or anything else. If you want like that humanity there and that fun, like people are like, can't believe this video is fun. It's like, it's because we enjoy it. And if we turn into robots to fulfill, to like give our offerings to the algorithm every day, it's just not
start working back. Right, exactly. There you go.
Like we can't do it, and like I run the Instagram account. I put out stuff a lot. But that's because we do stuff a lot. And I see him painting. I took a photo. I post a look at what we're doing. It's not like, hey, can you go over there and start painting so I can take a photo and post it? It's very, very, very different. One is just like documenting what we're doing. The other one is like forcing your art to fit this thing.
Exactly.
Exactly. I got you. All right. So this is the part where we get into the project, right? But before that, I'm very interested in the experimental dance company you worked for, right? It's called the Laboratory Dancers. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Laboratory Dancers. We called ourselves lab rats sometimes.
Cool.
When I was in college and I did my dance minor, that was more like modern experimental dance. And at some point, I don't know. I'm so glad this happened, and I don't know how it happened. At the Chicago Cultural Center, there was some kind of a summer workshop that I just happened to join because I wanted to do a summer workshop. And I didn't even know what the style was. And it was Buto, which is like a Japanese form of dance theater. And it's known as like the dance of utter darkness. And I learned so much from Buto that I've applied to every facet of my performance since then. it's just amazing. It's a art form where you kind of let, the idea is like you don't show but reveal. So it's like it's the most like vulnerable thing. When you look at very like it's something that you can't fake. Like you absolutely can't not fake because it's gonna look stupid. It's just gonna look absolutely stupid. The best like Buto dancers I've watched live is like they don't really do anything. They could sit like this for 20 minutes and you would stare at them transfixed because there's this energy that they have. I don't even know how to describe it.
That's
but it's
crazy.
like you're not afraid to show the grotesque part of it. You're not afraid to like let your jaw slack. You're not afraid of all these things that are like so human.
Right.
So sometimes it's almost like staring at a train wreck in slow motion and you're just transfixed. I don't even know. It's amazing. What I learned from that then I put into all the dance I've done is that idea of you don't show but reveal as an artist, you know? So like I have a certain voice. If I wanted to, and if I trained for it, I could do the crazy whistle notes. And it's just like, I don't want to do it unless it serves a purpose, because that's what happened when I started, you know, after that whole like getting to know Pugs Adams, Philip Morris, entering that, they're like, oh, you're the opera singer. Can you do some high notes on a hook? Right? Can you do the tricks that we associate from opera? And from the beginning, like I was like, I don't want to do that. You know, like, I sang and sometimes, yeah, I do the high notes, but it's like, it's never as a trick. So basically, once I kind of got to know the Buto, that kind of became the experimental kind of fuel for the rest of my work. Whenever I add experimental things, it stems a lot from the dance. So when I graduated, I saw an ad on Craigslist that was like, we're looking for members for our experimental dance company. I was like, oh, well, what is this? I went to
You can trust Craigslist.
Right.
I met some of like my favorite people in the world on
Awesome.
Craigslist back then. Yeah.
Right. Back then, yes.
Back then. Oh
exactly.
yeah. I wouldn't know that anymore. But yeah, I went to the audition. So weird. Like the oddest, you know, like rolling around on the floor, but like it has to be, you can't fake it. If you roll around on the floor and you're like trying to look pretty, or you're like the ballerina trying to roll on the floor, it's just so horrible. Like you have to have that experimental spirit in your heart or it doesn't work. And I met my like family for that. That company is so real and so raw. And what happened later is like when I did my shows with me singing, sometimes I had this something called the Scarlet Monk and her orchestra, which was a cellist that I met on Craigslist, and this producer Black Daylight that would like beatbox. So it'd be the three of us, plus I would have experimental dancers smack in the middle of a hip hop show, and people would be like, what in the hell?
Wow.
Well, you had the beatboxing, so it kind of works. Sometimes Philip Morris would do a verse. So it was so out there, but we did like awesome stuff. Like Emily from the company, you know, we would stuff her in the box in the middle of the thing, set it up with like a tablecloth and like a thing. So people would come in late, they didn't know there was a person in the box. She would bust out of the box and she'd be like, what is this? We just had the greatest show.
No, but that's good because you know, you're giving them the unexpected. You know, you go to a show, you expect the same old stuff, and now you got these different elements coming in. You know, how long did you do that for? How long did you work with them for? Or are you still doing it?
Well, I was in the company maybe like 3 or 4 years. But I was also like on the board of directors, so that kind of lasted longer. They're still going. It's just that my friend Alex, who runs it, one of the main things is like she wanted modern dance to be accessible to people, which was like she would never charge a lot for a ticket, which meant there was not a lot of income to run the company. Yeah. So it's still there. It just needs support and it needs like people to. So anyway, when we blow up, I'm definitely like putting money.
Good. Awesome.
We already about
Yep,
it because
yep.
I love it. I love it. It gave me so much freedom,
Mm.
you know, to be accepted for the
Mm.
weird things you do as an artist, and just like a laboratory for that. Like people use that word so much, like lab this, lab that. Like for me, that was a true laboratory where I could just be the weirdest artist, you know, and then
So dope.
I would take elements of that and put it in music and like package it a little bit, like so it's more like, you know.
Oh, it's
For people.
definitely
But
implemented.
it's there.
It's definitely implemented. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even the way that we prepare for certain things,
Right.
like, you know, prepare for a song, you know what I'm saying, is definitely implemented. And I, for one, love it. Especially with a name like Swamburger, where nowadays,
Right.
like, you can be regular, you know what I'm saying?
It could be anything. Well,
So,
thank you for talking about that, Scar. I appreciate it. All right, so this is where we get into, like I said, I'm finally turning the page, finally
all
getting
right,
to the backside. We're in the home stretch.
let's
So
go.
my first question is, how did you guys meet? Don't say Craigslist. And so the origin story of you guys
Oh, she
meeting,
got
and
it.
then
She got this.
Me?
go ahead.
She got this.
Well, we met through Da Vinci.
Okay, and
Da
how?
Vinci.
What was Da Vinci's role?
He knew us both, and he was just like, wait a minute. Anyway,
How did you know Da Vinci? How
right.
how did you know Da Vinci?
So I produce using Ableton Live, and Ableton has like these monthly meetups in different cities, and different people run it in different cities. So at the time I was living in LA actually, and I went to a school called the Beat Lab where I was learning Ableton stuff. And Da Vinci was the Ableton kind of representative and
Master.
sure, yeah,
Basically, man, like,
for Orlando. So it was the Orlando meetup groups. But during COVID, they didn't meet in person. So actually everything kind of went online, you know. So now these meetings were happening online. So it doesn't matter that I don't live in the city where these are happening. You kind of, you know, that started happening. You started getting access. Same with dance classes. All these teachers started teaching, you know, online. So now I couldn't go to New York, but hey, all these teachers are now putting their classes online. And so that was kind of really a cool thing about COVID. Things became really accessible for even teachers and things you wanted to learn across the globe pretty much. But okay, so this is what happened. After Chicago, I moved to LA. After LA, I moved to Vegas. Vegas didn't work out so well. I was like, well, I meant to move to LA. So I went back to LA. I got back to LA. COVID hit. So just got trapped in my house for like 2 or 3 years.
Oh, wow.
So I was kind of just like, you know, living in LA, in Koreatown by myself, little apartment. All my friends from the earlier time I lived in LA were already gone or moved on to different things. So it was just a very like trying couple of years where I was still doing the music and went back, you know, online to learn some things just to kind of like keep going. COVID will be over. Like, don't be the person that's completely unprepared when it's done, you know? So somewhere during that time, okay, so there's so many things that come into this.
It's all right. Go.
I live in Vegas. Such dry climate, sun out all the time.
I lived there for 4 years, by the way.
I could not take it.
Yeah.
I would like watch videos on YouTube of like rain in the background so I could work creatively. I'll close like the shades and I'm like rain video of rain.
Smart.
Cabin in the woods and just work, you know? And like one of those, I came across a video about like flow or the Tao, right? So it would just be talking in the background, the Tao, the life force, it's everything, it's nothing. And I was just like, okay, whatever, you know, doing my stretches. And somehow between listening to the flow videos and the Ableton videos, the YouTube algorithm brought me Da Vinci, who talks about flow and Ableton. And I was like, who's this person? And then I watched his little like, what was it? I don't know. I don't think it was a TED talk. It was like the Ableton had him like present his idea of flow in creating. And I was like, this is everything that I understand. This is how I work. So then I looked him up and I followed him on Instagram. And then I saw that he's teaching these monthly Zoom things about Ableton. And now that because of COVID, it's online. So I just went and joined one. And so at the beginning of each of these meetings, there's like a show and tell portion. So we all kind of played something. So I would play a beat of mine. And I did that for like 3 or 4 weeks. And then we kind of actually started like, talking. We followed each other on Instagram, kind of started to get to know each other. And then there was this point where I don't really understand like what the topic was, but it was something like I had a question to him and was like, okay, so what do you do when you've tried everything and you've gotten nowhere with music? Because like I had released my first album in 2011 and I've been pushing since 2011. And now it's like a decade later, I have gotten nowhere. I was like, Sir Da Vinci, like this isn't fair. Can you explain to me what, where? Because I've tried it all. I've talked to everybody. I've played my music for all these people, getting absolutely nowhere. I'm really frustrated. And then he went through his little like regular spiel. Well, blah, 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 blah. And you have to, understand that, that's kind of the nature of the business. And, like, are you willing to accept that even if you don't get anywhere, will you still do it? And he's like, at the end, he's like, does that answer your question? And I was like, no, it does not answer the question. Because I've accepted, I've worked as a waitress and a barista these past 10 years. I've accepted that I'm going to do that. However, if you, sir, Mr. Da Vinci, right. For, with Lauryn Hill, I'm like, I don't know. Had gotten to this point and you got nowhere with this music, if you were not working with Lauryn Hill, if you had not had the success of Soliloquist, if none of these things happened in the 10 years, would you be as confident with that answer? Right. He was just like, wait a minute. Like, you might be a different case. Because at that point, he's seen my music videos and different like things I've posted. He's like, you're doing so many things that you absolutely need a team. Mm-hmm. You can't, because you've become so proficient in everything that people have asked you to do, because like you would come to them with your art and they'd be like, well, yeah, but could you do it like this? And you'd be like, yes, I could do it like this. And then it's like, but could you do it like this? Yeah, I can do it like this. And I've learned all these things and I've learned how to like run versatile. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But then it's like, I never really get to do the thing that I'm trying to do because I'm always doing everything that I have to get by. Right. So already in his brain, he was just like, because when I said I do house and I'm from Chicago, he was just like, and like, he was downstairs working on house stuff. And he was just, so Da Vinci basically was just like, you working on house stuff? Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, the first song we released was All Hell Open Doors. So right. Because that's like Chicago's house. That's where house came from, Chicago.
Yeah. That joint actually ended up being on Mark Farina's top 10, man.
Right when it came out.
All Hell Open Doors. Yeah. That was really, really dope. So did you want me to speak now? Like after that?
No. I mean, it's up to y'all, but I'm just, I mean, okay, so go ahead. If you want to add on, brother. Go ahead.
So as that was happening, like she said, I'm downstairs. And at the time, I had been working with a cat by the name of Juan Mejia. Now, Juan Mejia used to be doing like a lot of the stuff at what was it, Firestone. And he was one of the first DJs that actually was, playing me and like giving me a little bit of like leeway to showcase what it is that I was about, in Orlando. Right. So, man, mad years later, he hits me up. And this is during the time where Soliloquist is no longer doing stuff. He hits me up and he goes, Swan, I want to pay you to create some boom bap stuff for my label. And I'm like, yo, I got you. And then I start. But when I started, I actually started on some house stuff because I'm like, man, if I'm going to do something boom bap, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to do it my way. Right. So I did the boom bap stuff, but then like I started leading with like more of the house stuff. Right. So as soon as I showed him that, he was like, wait, what? Like he didn't know that I did, you know what I'm saying? I did house. I'm like, yo, man, I'm from Chicago. Like, what you think? You know what I'm saying? So then he goes, brother. Like, it's his thing, you know what I'm saying? Brother. He's like, we can make so much happen with this song, like with this variety of stuff that you have. He's like, we have to get somebody else on this, like, you know, like somebody, because it was like instrumental part that I was working on, and it was just like the house part. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking like, man, I want to go back to some hip house type stuff and like present that. Because I'm like, if I'm going to be doing some solo stuff, I need to come out in a different way. You know what I mean? So I started going more so towards my roots. Da Vinci was like, yo, that's dope. Keep going that route. Right. So I go this route. I get done with what I need to get done with, the first and the second verse. And I'm needing somebody to get in there for this actual, like, you know, this longer version, if you will, of this house part. And so one of the first people that we ended up contacting was Lisa Shaw. You know what I'm saying? And then she was saying that she was going to do something, but never got to it. Right. Juan Mejia has showed me some other guy. I forget where he was from, but that thing was horrible. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, are you serious? Don't put this guy on my shit.
Yeah. He can't touch my stuff.
You know what I mean? Like, come on, B. So at this time, while I'm doing that song, I get introduced to Scar from Da Vinci. But Da Vinci comes down, and we have like, you know, we have this rapport together that's just like, you know, it's like, okay, if you're in the circle, like you're basically considered to be like, oh, you're one of us. You know what I mean? And he comes down like super hype. And he's like, yo, I met someone that's one of us. He's like, yo, she, you know,
that's on the level. She's on the level.
On that level. She goes by Scarlet Monk, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yo, you gotta work with her. Now, if you know Da Vinci, like I know Da Vinci don't do this shit. He don't come to you and say, you gotta work with this person.
He usually does it, right? He'll take it.
He'll do it, but like that's the thing, is like there's so many folks that we know that's not necessarily on that level. We don't want to teach nobody like that, like especially when we doing our shit. You know what I'm saying? So this man is like, you got to work with this girl, right? So I'm like, all right, cool. Like I already know what it's about. I'm like, yo, let's set up a call, this, that, and the third, right? But before we get introduced, right, and before we actually have that call, he tells me about how it is that she basically was like defying what it is that he has said. And he was hype as fuck because we both know it's like, all right, cool. Like we got a rebel on our hands. Like we got a person that's defying the information that we giving them. And he explains the whole situation. And he's like, yo, and then at the end, I was like, you know, does that answer your problem? Answer your situation? And he said that she said no. And he was like, but the way he said it, he was like, she said no. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, oh shit. I was like, word. You know what I mean? And for us, that's like, you're in. You know what I mean?
Because like, she didn't see through that bullshit, whatever.
Right. Exactly. Right. Because even we have a level of bullshit, you know what I'm saying?
Right. That everybody does.
See, you know what I mean? You won't see that, you know what I mean? Right. Unless you on the level, you like, you bullshit. You know what I mean? So she saw through it and was like, nah. So he knew, he's like, all right, cool. Like you're a relentless motherfucker. Like you, when I give this person your information, he's like, I'm gonna have y'all talk about what y'all need to talk about. She'll explain more of the stuff that she needs, this, that, and the third. We get on the phone call, right? And my number, she calls my number, she sees the 407, and she like, what is this? It's like, you ain't even from Chicago. That's basically how it started.
Oh, wow.
773.
Look at this poser.
Right. Like, are you even from Chicago?
312. Like, she didn't see, you know what I mean? She see 407. It's like, are you even from Chicago? Like, damn. And I'm
Yeah.
looking at it like, okay, yeah, this gonna be a good long relationship right here. So, so like, I was like, oh man, you got jokes, right? So we started shooting this shit, man. We talked for about 4 hours, B.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
because it
saying?
started with like, okay, who do you know? So then we're like, oh, yeah, I know Pugs. Yeah, this, all of the Chicago people. We had to get through like an hour of just like the people we know in common, the places we know in common, just all the Chicago stuff.
Because that's the measuring stick.
Oh,
Yeah.
you already know.
That's the measuring stick,
Yeah, man. So she telling me mad shit, right? And I'm just like, oh my God, this is wild. I'm hearing, and then she sends me the like an album, right? And I hear the first song on the album. First song is Sincerely Scarlet. You know what I mean? And as she told you, you know what I'm saying, with like her instrumentation is mainly all her voice. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, I'm hearing this and I'm like, yo, what is this? Yo, this is like the gold mine, B. Like, what is this?
Mhm.
What are these other cats that you were talking about you were trying to work with and they didn't work with you? I don't get it. This is gold. You know what I mean? So I hit up a remix to it. You know what I'm saying? Man, everything was flowing just like water. Like everything that we do is like, it's a flow. Huge flow.
So that song now is Scarbburger.
Yeah.
Because it was the first
the
song we did together.
Right.
Like before there was Amongst Them Pockets, before, so we don't know what name it. So Scarlet, Scarbburger, and we just kept the name.
We just kept it.
But this was an album that I actually released when I was leaving, or I was still in Vegas. So it was released like 5 years ago, and I released it solely for the purpose of having something out there. I've taken it down since then, because I was like, I'm trying to get in touch with people, and if I show them the last project I released was in 2011, like they'll be like, well, okay, you're not really making music. So I literally, when I was in Vegas, made an album just in 6 months, just sat down, produced the whole thing. Couple were co-produced and sang the whole thing, recorded myself, did my best, actually paid somebody to mix and master it just to have something out there that's somewhat like current. And I was going to use it basically as a business card. Like, this is what I do. I need help, because I had just started producing at that point. I was like, somebody who knows how to produce better than me, because I literally had to start learning how to produce, because like I couldn't find anybody that I wanted to work with on that level or that would work with me, because again, I didn't really have that much out there. And it was just kind of like, I made an album basically as my business card. And I was just like, some songs are better than others. Yeah. And I was like, look, this is what I do. And just trying and trying and trying, and nothing and nothing and nothing and nothing. No, everybody's like, that's nice, So finally, like, I sent him that song. And once we remade the Scarbburger and everything, just now as Mugs and Pockets is coming out, and then soon my solo album, I took all that down. Yeah. Because I don't need it for that purpose. And I know it's not on the level I wanted it, because I was just starting to produce at that. So that's gone, but that's how Scarbburger and like our first song came about.
That's dope. Okay, so you're from Chicago. You went to Orlando. You moved all over the West Coast. Why Seattle? What's in Seattle? Why Seattle?
Rain and nature and green trees. It's what I was dreaming of when I was in like.
And Bigfoot, sorry.
There you go. Bigfoot. And the thing is that like it has the more of the Poland and Chicago feel, with just more greenery, rain seasons. Summer here is absolutely gorgeous, but just like the views and the skies and the so many trees. I just. I love it. It's very nostalgic, just. Yeah. I needed that after being like out in the desert and feeling like I'm just like nothing's happening. And it was
like you're going to die.
It was heartbreaking, because it's just like at that point, it's like I've been doing this music for like 2 decades and I've gotten nowhere. It was just like I needed to go recoup somewhere with, nature.
What's the scene like out there musically? I know it has a history.
I mean, they got, what is it? The 206 Zulu is out here.
And then Henri and his
crew. Old Dominion, you know what I'm saying? From like Seattle, as well as Portland area.
Right. They have that connection, that Portland, Seattle connection, right?
Sleep is out here, Macklemore, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? All of those cats, like, and they definitely cultivated like a lot of that stuff. And then, you also got just the music scene in general with like Nirvana and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
that
a
type of
big
stuff.
breaking crew, Massive Monkeys is
Massive
here.
Monkeys. So they've been cultivating it here for a while, you know what I mean? And it definitely has like a music scene. Like even when we would go to tour, there was a Nectar Lounge is a huge place. High Dive is a huge place. Numos is another one. But yeah, man, like they've not only been doing it that way, but like art in general is like widely accepted. You know what I'm saying?
It's very underrated. Nobody really talks about it.
Underrated.
It's really underrated. All right.
Yeah.
So the project's called The Adventures of Muggs and Pockets, right? It was released on July 22nd.
Yeah.
17 tracks. All right.
Wait, July 22nd.
Yeah.
Technically November 1st online.
November 1st online, yeah.
Okay, all right. Because the SoundCloud you sent me says July 22nd.
No, yeah, you got it. You got it.
So let me. So when was it really? November?
Our early kind of like, here you go. You know what I'm saying? But November 1st.
November 1st. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure.
Through Alpha Pup.
Through Alpha Pup. Now, is it available to purchase? Because you sent me the SoundCloud. I don't see a link to purchase. Where can people purchase that?
People can purchase it off of Spotify, but they can also purchase it on there's a few different sites.
So go to Mugs and Pockets Instagram. In the bio, there's a link with all of them.
Okay.
So
and it's not physical, just digital only?
Yeah, we will
CDs.
have physicals. Yeah, we will have physicals, more of them, because
let me know.
They'll be sold out before. Yeah,
I need a copy of that. Let me know. So when I was doing reviews for Insomniac, my technique was not to give too much away, only pique interest, because I felt like people misinterpret information, and if you start going too deep into someone's project, they're gonna find an excuse not to even try to look at it or invest themselves in it. So I'm gonna do the same thing here, right? Because I want to draw traffic to what you guys are doing, rather than give the whole thing away and somebody's, oh yeah, I've heard something like that before, I don't want to listen to that, or whatever. All right, so to me, when I heard it, 17 tracks, an intro and an outro, right? To me, I found that it's being soulful and very fun. There was a lot of and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of inflection and reflection in the songs. I picked up on that like right away.
Yeah.
It has to do obviously with both of your lives, separately and together. Am I right or wrong? Okay. I just want to make sure.
We've only known each other a year.
Exactly.
But like just between me, him, and Da Vinci, because Da Vinci mix and master everything, it's just like family right away.
But a year is 365 days. That's a lot.
It sure is. And for us, it's within like three albums. So
right. That's a lot. I wrote down here razor sharp lyrics and sultry vocals. That's like what grabs me about it. Yeah. And then you also have cameos on there. So who are the cameos and what tracks are they on? If you can remember.
Yeah. The cameos, well, the intro, which is the first track, we get a huge shout and basically like cosign from Charlie Tuna from Jurassic 5.
Right.
And then there's Green Meadows, right? Green Meadows features Charlie Tuna once again, but it also features Abstract Rude.
Abby Rude, yep.
Yeah, Project Blow. So then you have Feats of Fury, which also features Gift of Gab and Rest in Peace. And
Blackalicious, right? He was Blackalicious?
Yeah, from Blackalicious, exactly. So that track, I have to shout out Josh, you know what I'm saying, who's a cat that helped us get that, Josh Lear, who helped us get that verse. But that verse was kind of floating around prior to us having it. However, I was instrumental in helping him get that.
Right.
He when he got that, like he was trying to match it with other folks, And when he heard our project, he was like, yo, this would be perfect. Maker is also featured on that. He's a cat that did the beat, and also with Da Vinci and Maker produced that track.
He's a Chicago cat, right? Maker. Right?
Maker, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And
From Quell and Maker.
That's another person that we didn't even talk about that. He was my friend in Chicago, and he's their
Really?
friend. So when he would travel, he would stay at their place in Orlando.
Right.
So actually, the first time we have been in an album together was like 10 years ago on a Quell and Maker record. I sang on it, and he first, but we never
even knew.
Was it Bat Sauce, the album? Was it?
No, not that.
It was Beautiful Raw.
Yeah.
Okay.
Beautiful. That's what was it? Bat Sauce is from. That's with him and
Quasar.
There we go.
Quasar's dope, man. Damn.
Yeah.
Quasar's fucking that.
Yeah.
Typical cats, right?
Yeah, typical cats.
Yeah.
Oh my. Chicago's so ill. I want to get into the Chicago stuff, but I can't. It would take forever if I
feel you.
Chicago's so slept on, like the culture, man. Oh my God. Anyway, and Maker was in a group called Them Bad Apples. I don't know if you remember them. Them Bad Apples.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I don't know that one more so than
it was him and like 3 or 4 other guys, and they were part of an even bigger crew. Because it's all crew, and Anacron and all them dudes, like all them dudes, Psalm 1, all them,
Yeah, I was in a crew with Anacron. That was Peanut Gallery.
And I know you know Kevin Beecham too, huh?
Yep, of course, man.
He was my 7th interview, man. I love Kevin Beecham, bro.
The Godfather right there.
That is the Godfather. That's why I had him, man.
You already know.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Kevin Beecham, man.
Always shout out to Kevin Beecham. All right, so the name Mugs and Pockets. Let's go there. What's up with that? Come on, let's do it.
Okay, so as you can see,
I know. They don't know, whoever's watching.
So me being a cozy introvert, really into coffee and tea and things, and I've always loved just tea sets, cool mugs. We go to like the Fremont Market. There's this lady that sells antique mugs. I buy one like every week. It's just what it is. Anyway, when I moved to Seattle, not too long after we started, working on music, and he was still in Orlando, I was kind of like, we were really getting to know each other. Like, it just really helps so much with the music when you really know, what people are passionate about. And I was in a new neighborhood, and I was just like finally seeing nature and seeing cool things. And I took a picture of a storefront that had all these like awesome mugs. And I just sent it to him because I was like, mugs. And then on just like by a intersection, there was a pole that had a bunch of stickers on it. And one of them was like 2 little girls with the dresses on, and they had their hands in their pockets because they were so excited that they had pockets. And it just said, pockets. Because we never get pockets, and we love pockets so much.
My wife complains about that all the time, that they don't have clothes for women that have pockets.
Yeah, they wanted to buy purses and then get the purses snatched. It's not safe. Anyway.
Word up. Let's go. Right.
So I sent those 2. And then I just wrote as a complete joke, Mugs and Pockets, band name. Because we were trying to figure out the name. So we would like randomly during the day, like set like whatever band name, but it was like Mugs and Pockets. I said as a complete joke. And he was like, because it's like when you think about it, then it's like, yeah, mugs, like mean mugging, pockets, with crapsies in the pocket, it's just like the whole thing started coming together and was just like, okay.
So you mean mug. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say you mean mug while you play the wall with your hands in your pockets.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's really how it works, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, B.
Do you know that Mugs and Pockets is if you look at it, it's not a acronym, it's a backronym for MAPS.
Yeah, of course.
Mugs and Pockets. So MAP. That's why
and then the S at the end, MAPS.
Well,
or MAP.
MAP. Yeah. So that's why we do. That's why Charlie tonight at the beginning says MAP runs the map, because it's like map runs the map.
Map runs the map.
That's our hashtag. And you really want to get your mind blown right
Go
now?
ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, the acronym for The Adventures of Mugs and Pockets is TAO map, DAO map. And DAO is like
Oh,
that.
like the DAOs. Yes.
How I met Da Vinci by watching the video,
Boom.
the DAO
Wow.
video.
Boom.
So
Bam.
it's the map to finding your DAO map, The Adventures of Mugs and Pockets. Not on purpose. Da Vinci
Right.
noticed it, and we were like,
Right. Wasn't
Right.
on purpose. None of that.
yeah.
It's
Do-
wow, man. Like I said,
Yeah. Do you believe in manifesting? Do you think that's because you guys seem like you have that energy where you you kind of throw something out into the universe and you get it back?
I believe in a lot of stuff, but I don't really call it anything. I feel like
Right.
once you call it and you put it in a box, it ceases to be what it is. Because if it was able to be captured, it wouldn't be what it is.
exactly.
So I'm very like I said, I overthink and I think and I observe a lot. So I'm aware of a lot of things, but I just kind of use it how I need to in life.
And mine is similar, but like even when someone says like you have a belief or this in something, you know what I'm saying? Like for me, it's like it's not my belief that dictates what it's already going to do. I've just basically observed it enough that makes me understand these things happen. So if this is happening, I definitely believe this is happening. You know what I'm saying?
I got you. Yeah.
Focus is a big thing. It's like if you're riding on a bike and you're like staring at the tree, like don't hit the tree, that you'll hit the tree. So same with like good things. If you really want to like put your attention on the things you're trying to work on, as opposed to the things that kind of distract you, like that just kind of like. So a lot of manifesting could be called a lot of different things. Just like putting your energy towards what you want to work is, you're
right. I got you.
I'm always a fan of, I'm always a fan of the ing of things, man. Never the ER or the ED. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like
those are bad.
you know what I'm saying? Like, then we, you know what I mean?
I got you, brother. That's dope. Actually, is that a lyric? You need to put that in a lyric.
That life lesson.
All right, so let me tell you some of my favorite songs. I mean, the whole album's dope, and I don't really like to make comps because again, people misinterpret. But and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I feel like there's some influences in there, some things that remind me of like overall the album reminds me of like a Purple Rain album. Right, like a Prince Purple Rain album.
I take that. You know what I mean? I'll take that.
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect, but I'm just saying it has that vibe. It draws you in, and you're up and down. You're not too high, but you're not too low either. Like you guys, I think that you guys plan each song out perfectly, where you're not on one wavelength the whole time. You kind of shift in, you know. And like I said, it's soulful and fun, but it's not over the top with any one thing. But Be Mine, I love that fucking song, man. Golly. I've played that song.
Funny story. That
go ahead, please.
In its entirety, well, without his verse, obviously, was on that album I mentioned, my business album. It was on there. It was out there in the world. I played it for everybody. Nobody gave a crap about it.
Right.
I released on this album, put him on it, gave it like a different framing. Right. Everybody loves it.
So did it sound the same?
Yes, exactly the same, because it's all produced by me. So exactly the same, except for now it has his verse, obviously.
Okay, so when I listened to that song, it reminded me of like early Daft Punk. Like that sort of Steve. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
Man. No, the realness.
I'm sorry. Okay.
After this is over, she gonna be like, "What's good?"
Yeah, well, she deserves it.
I'm saying,
she deserves it. Okay, all right. So let me know what you think of this one. Okay, Art of Chill, dope track.
Yeah, I mean,
Blowout Comb, Diggable Planets. That's the steez that are.
You're on it.
We have stories about all of these songs.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Art of Chill is that this is one of the reasons I love working with Swamp, is because I can't get away with this with like any other MC I've worked with. when he wrote the verse to it, I was like, no, I don't think that's it. And had him re-record it. Like, can you imagine during the past 10 years, me just being who I am, working with an MC being like, I don't think that's quite it. They'd be like,
what the fuck you know?
the fuck you know about that?
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I wanted it to be, you know how his verse sounds. It's just very like, it sounds like him, his real
Right.
voice,
Right.
you know, because I wanted this song to be really like, same idea. You don't show but reveal. This is that one of those songs that is just like
That was the greatest.
all heart. And I'm just like, you hear how I'm singing on it, like close your eyes, match that vibe. Like just reveal.
Yo, in the booth,
Right.
in the booth, right? As I'm recording it, because my mother passed, right?
R.I.P. man. Sorry for
Yeah,
your
man.
loss.
You know what I'm saying? So I was thinking about her, you know what I'm saying, talking to her, but then also thinking about moms. Yo, I shit you not. I feel like my mom's image, well, I know my mom's image was there, you know what I'm saying? And I felt the presence of her. And in the verse, you can hear me kind of almost crack, you know what I'm saying? But I kept it going. You know what I'm saying? So like that was a huge, when she talk about reveal, like that's been the whole thing. Is like never show, just reveal. Like, man, I sung into that, and like that's how I delivered it. You know what I'm saying? And so Art of Chill for us too, you know what I'm saying? It's a huge track.
Well, that's the reason why, like that song, I felt it. That's why I like that song, because I felt it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There was four or five different passes that I did with that I was showing her, and she was like, nah, that's not it. Nah, that's not it. And that was like what I used to, man, I could never even get that from Da Vinci at times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because, if you got folks that already see you as a certain kind of, rapper or whatever, they're going to be like, oh man, that was dope. That was great. She was pushing me to get more.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it was like, oh wow, like, so that's a huge reason why I love working with her.
Yeah, and he didn't like take that as a diss.
Right.
You know?
Nah.
It's like
He could have.
Right.
And most people do, but like that's not how his ego's set up.
No.
He took that as like, oh, it's an opportunity. I can push myself and get better, or get what the song needs.
Exactly.
Well, it was because you didn't want Swamburger, you wanted Hassan Brooks.
Right.
And he gave you Hassan Brooks, that's why. He was giving you Swamburger, and that's not what you wanted.
Like he delivered it
That's
all hype, it's
Yeah.
just like this and this and that. And I was like, not this song.
Nah.
All the other songs, but not this song. This is just like reveal.
But you saved those lyrics though, right? You didn't throw those lyrics away.
No. Same lyrics. Same lyrics.
Okay.
Different
delivery.
Delivery.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
But that's what I was saying. Like it was like, I think at that point, that's what for me solidified everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as like, yep, this is that long haul group. This is that long haul shit that I want to be a part of forever. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the music I want to make.
Because the reason we move so fast and we have like the skateboards and the hot sauces and so much 3 albums is because we are very much like, you make this, dope, go, yes, make decisions, make things happen. And it keeps us so encouraged, because if I have an idea for a skateboard and it's there a month later, and you can see it, there's nothing worse than making an album with somebody, the group falls apart, the music never sees the light of day. You don't want to make it again. Here we have the constant the feedback of like, yes. So when like both ways works both ways. When one of us says like, that's not it, that doesn't happen all the time. Because if we were the kind of, group where it's just like everything you made, the other person was like, I don't like that. That kind of, it doesn't make you want to, you know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
But with us, so like when I say, I'm not sure, we take that really seriously.
Yeah.
Or like, for me at the beginning, Art of Chill, I didn't love the cuts, but he was like, I really like the cuts. And that made me pause. It's like, if because usually if I don't like it, he's like, fuck it. Let's
get rid of it.
He's like, I'm like, okay, let me sit it with it. And now I love them, So it's just like, we move forward, but when somebody's like, we really pay attention, because we don't do it just, to be difficult.
I love that, man.
So like how you were saying how you do something and then you come out with it, like the skateboard is like what I said, manifesting. You throw it out to the universe and boom, there it goes. You guys, you do that shit. You make it happen.
For your artistry, man, that is like that's the best. Yeah, that's the best ingredient.
Because you want to make more because you see everything you work hard on actually comes to life.
Yeah.
All right, so the last track, not the last track because there's like a ton of tracks, but the one that really got to me too was 80s Game. And to me, that's more like, okay, so when I was in the military, I was in Vegas. I was in there from 98 to like 2002, and I had bought Black Eyed Peas' first album. Now, Black Eyed Peas, they're a hip hop group, but they have one track on their first album that's like a dance track. And that's what the 80s Game reminded me of, like that vibe. Like they were like, okay, we're hip hop, but we're going to fuck people's head up with this one song. We're just going to throw right in the middle of that thing, man. And they're going to know that we're more than just what people put this, whatever labels on us. This is showing that we can do more. And that's what, to me, 80s Game was like, yo, we're more than just a hip hop or whatever,
Right. And again, like production wise, bam.
I know.
Artist-still, bam. You know what I'm saying?
Right. All right. So both of y'all are from Chicago. Yeah. So the last track or the last full song, number 16, that to me, that's your love letter to Chicago. What did it mean to make that song for you guys? What did it mean to you guys to make that song, that love letter to Chicago?
Yeah, both that and From the Go, because they're both about Chicago.
Exactly. So for me, like, man, well, first of all, when she showed me the beat, I was like, yeah, this is like
I know, dude.
I've sent it to different MCs before that, and like nobody took it. So
I don't know why. I'm not an MC, and I would take it.
You know what I'm saying? Exactly, man. For me, like, it's a huge respect to her. You know what I'm saying? Like, for being the artist that she is, you know what I'm saying? Being the person that she is, like, this is my quintessential person. You know what I'm saying? Like, the person that I can be myself with. I can be an artist. I can be corrected by. I can be, you know what I'm saying? And still feel like I'm growing. You know what I mean? So, like, in this game of like connection, artistry, and building, right? And then in growth, right? In this game of that, like, I feel like I can do all of the above, you know what I'm saying? Working with her. You know what I mean? So that's like, for me, that's my like love letter to her. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and she still keeps me on point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like you get to how some folks will like be in the industry or be in like be satisfied with who they are. They get the acceptance of that person that they're trying to, get all this acceptance from, and then they kind of sit back and chill. Like, it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? It's like constant growth and constant like dedication and motivation. Like, so we have other things that we do outside of here where, like, man, as a Chicago kid that's pretty much, just seen metropolitan cities, I get to vibe with her, like, not just musically, but like even being here in Seattle and do like some shit I've never done. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it feels like I've been doing it for years.
Like T.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this son. You know what I'm saying? From city kid to city kid.
Yoga class.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It's not brown bag, it's tea.
The boy is out here living. You know what I mean?
That's dope, man. That is.
It's so dope, man. It's so dope.
All right. So I'm gonna ask each of you, which is your favorite track and why?
You go first because I gotta think about this.
I mean, shit.
Can you pick two? Would it be easier if I said two of them? I mean, I know the whole album's dope, but I'm just saying, like, which one was the hardest to work on?
None of them.
Okay.
None of them.
I got you.
Oof.
Wow, that's
If you had to pick a track to represent the group, what would that be? How about that?
Okay. Oh man.
Like if aliens landed on the lawn and they said,
Okay.
"Give us your favorite track," which one would you give them?
Okay. Oh man, yo.
Do you want? It's okay if you want to skip it. I can ask you another question. It's
Like
okay.
they have different purposes.
Right.
I feel like when somebody like a DJ's like send us a song to push right now, we'll probably send like Green Meadows because we know that we have the dope features. The song is it represents a lot of us, whatever. Something that's closer to my heart is definitely Scarborough because it was the first song, but also like I love vocal harmonies and I feel like that song really expresses what I kind of been trying to do. It's like
so that's the song then for you.
So I guess that's the song for me. But I sure love me my Art of Chill.
Art of Chill is dope.
Makes sense. I get to rap on
it. This is
I don't know.
All right, next question.
Okay, hold up. Okay. There was like mad times like where we imagine like most of this album we were separated. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We
were separated. Like I'm in Orlando, she's in Seattle, and we're doing this album this way, just passing stuff back and forth. So like we'd be on the phone sometimes after it had gone down, and we'd be like, "Yo, this shit was crazy." This, that, and third. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a bunch of that happening in between, and then all these experiences on top of it. So I'm gonna have to pick two. My two would be Scarborough.
Okay.
For the first, you know what I mean, for me, for obvious reasons, based off of like the first meeting, when I heard the track, it was like, whoo, you know what I mean? And it just expanded a whole world, right? And then I'm gonna have to say, Art of Chill as well, because like, you know what I mean? I was in the booth, fam, and my mom's appeared. G, like,
mom, you can't beat that. Your mom was there. I think if you didn't pick that song, your mom would come back and slap you in the back of your head or something.
I showed up, and this is the thanks I get. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Come on, fam. Because it was like a time that I learned. You know what I'm saying? And then a time also that growth, man, like that growth period, it just feels so good. Yeah. You know?
Awesome. All right. Yeah. So is it true that you guys already have like 3 or 4 albums completed already, ready to rock? Is it true?
Well, the Tenfold album featuring me, that's already out. So that's before this one. So Mugs and Pockets, this one that we just released, that's 2. Mm-hmm. My solo album, I'm basically done with it. I produced just a couple songs. It's mostly produced and executive produced by him. So now he's adding all the kind of reworking some things, getting live musicians involved. So it's done like for me, but it's still being like almost.
So like when's the release date? You think? When do you think that's coming out?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Release date.
The release date possibly.
I'm hoping for March, but just depends on when people get back.
Exactly.
You know, with the instrumentation like that. But I would love for it.
And that's it. Those are the releases. Tenfold.
And then the fourth one is the second Mugs and Pockets album. It's about halfway done.
Yeah.
Wow. Already. Damn.
Son,
that's dope, man.
And it's only been like a year and some change.
Right. That's dope.
Like first day we met was like. Next day was a song. You know what I'm saying? Like
divine intervention, right? Isn't that what we said?
Exactly.
All right. So the last thing, and then we're gonna wrap this up.
Like guys, 8 hours.
This is a hefty interview, and I like these sorts of interviews. I don't like the ones where it's like, question, answer, question, I want people to know who you are. That's the thing. It's different when you pick up a CD and you listen to an artist. You don't even know what they look like. You don't know who they are. I want people to know who you are. It's important. Like, it's important for me to know what I'm listening to, who these people are that I'm listening to. So, and all that you've been through, on your side and on your side, Scar, the traveling, all of that. In the end, with all the releases, are you guys happy?
Yeah, happiest I've been because I'm fine. Like I've been trying to make this music now, for a couple of decades. Like to finally be and seeing how everything that I've done kind of, because even stuff from like waitressing where you're multitasking and you're aware of a few things at once and dealing with like people and knowing when to take a break and all these things kind of come into it, running my own, social media all this time and figuring out how to, do a video and get the right lighting and photos and even selfies and things like that. Now, when we do promo, like we use all of that.
Yeah.
So just like there's so much I've learned on the way, so much I've learned that I don't want to do anymore, so much I learned that I don't want to put up with anymore, people I don't want to work with, and that it's okay,
Right.
It's like it's an amazing time. It's like a playground right now with the music and the art. So I love it.
Yeah.
What about you, my man?
Exactly the same, man. But like, we a lot of times we say to each other, like, it took 20 years, to find each other and shit. You know what I mean? So like as far as, but it's like I said, as far as music is concerned, like it is my most favorite, probably the best that I think I've ever like felt, in the process of making an album. Everything was almost like a slight competition of like, man, how can I impress this person? You know what I'm saying? Like it was incredible. Like I would be in the crib, and I would just be like, yo.
So you were kind of like your dad trying to impress you were like your dad trying to impress your mom.
I'm saying, B, like exactly. Because the thing was, it was like she would hand the beat, I would get it, and I already on top, already is like from the how we met and all this other stuff, and hearing the story that she went through and things like this, already I'd be like, I cannot write a regular verse. You know what I'm saying? So I'm already like not pressured, but like this is my task. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I would go through it, bam, and when you in it, you know what I'm saying? That's it. So you would hear my voice go from here to like, oh, shit. And I would just be dancing around the room, right? Like they don't want it. They don't want it. So that was, but that was it. And no matter how hype it was, it always fit the mood. It always was like you being the artist for that time, you know what I'm saying? And that was like that was the best part for me, is like we were being the artist for that particular beat. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Even though we had all these other emotions, like how Art of Chill was, you know what I'm saying? It'd be so hype and everything. And it's just like, okay, pay attention to what's happening here. You know what I'm saying? And so when the album came back out, man, like on both of our ends, like we would just be listening to each song over and over and hit each other up like, yo, that's all I've been doing is listening to this track. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That was it. And that was for every joint. And that's why every joint has like this, this crazy story basically.
Yeah.
And
they're all like a little, for both of us, nostalgic, because since we both are from Chicago and we kind of grew up around the same style of hip hop and style of just music and jazz in general, I think my beats get him so hyped because he recognizes something that's nostalgic for him, and the way he raps too. Like, again, like in Chicago, like I was listening to Philip Morris, Pugs, Quasar, Typical Cats, like all of that, Adad. And it's just like there's a certain style of like, an MC that I kind of like, yeah, this is what I kind of remember and what made me love it in the first place. He's all that,
Yeah, he is.
So obviously.
Yeah, he is. You're not lying. All right. So thank you. I appreciate it. You guys are beautiful souls.
Thank you.
The music is awesome. Don't don't leave after I hit stop the record button. But I wish you guys nothing but the best. And you know, just keep me informed of what you guys are doing, and I'll promote on my end. You know, I'll put up links, whatever, and then just keep doing what you're doing. Okay.
I appreciate
Many,
you, man.
yeah, brother, all the time, man. Many blessings. All right. I'll catch
Yeah.
y'all later. Peace.
All right.